Chapter 367. 3 Days and 3 Nights. Chen Hao didn't stop for even a moment. He searched a radius of 100,000 miles, but not to mention Chen Shui, he didn't even see the shadow of a cultivator. Chen Shui seemed to have evaporated into thin air. She didn't leave behind a single word, nor did she leave behind any traces. She just completely disappeared. During these 3 days and 3 nights, Chen Hao, who was circling around the cave, returned to the cave more than once. Every time, he was filled with hope that he would see that graceful figure in a blue dress again. Even if she was heavily injured, as long as she appeared, as long as she wasn't dead, it would be fine. But every time, it was empty. Only the words he left on the cave wall were clear. Chen Hao, who had always been calm and collected, knew clearly that a radius of 100,000 miles was the limit. It was just that Chen Shui had no reason to go too far in order to train during the day and return to the cave. But even though he knew that it was almost impossible to find Chen Shui, he still didn't give up. He couldn't accept the ending that kept appearing in his mind. He couldn't believe that it would be such an ending. Starting to follow the direction that Chen Shui went to train, Chen Hao began a detailed search. Not only did he use his soul perception, he also used his eyes. If she was alive, he had to see her. If she was dead, he had to see her corpse. Even though he didn't dare to think about it, he had to do it. In this desolate area, how could Chen Shui leave without saying goodbye? There was only one possibility. It was an accident. An entire month passed in the blink of an eye. Besides the necessary recovery, Chen Hao searched a radius of 100,000 miles, every corner, every cave. But he didn't find any clues. For the first time, Chen Hao felt despair, powerlessness, and even numbness. Dragging his heavy body, Chen Hao didn't even know how he returned to the cave. He was still hoping for a miracle. Before entering the cave, he even retracted his soul perception. He wanted to see that graceful figure. He had never desired to see a person so much, but the miracle didn't happen. Pang! A fist smashed into the hard rock ground. His entire fist went deep into the rock. Inside the cave, there was still Chen Shui's aura and the restriction she set up. But Chen Shui couldn't come back. It's about time, right? If this continues, I'm afraid he will go crazy. It's about time. Why don't you remind him? In Chen Hao's mind, the mysterious existence and treasure hunter's sword spirit were secretly communicating. It was not that the two of them knew where Chen Shui went, but they knew that Chen Shui would definitely not be as pessimistic as Chen Hao imagined. You're messed up because you're concerned, leave me alone. The treasure-hunting sword spirit had just opened its mouth and said something in a meaningful tone when Chen Hao roared furiously and directly cut off the connection. Cough cough. Why are you so angry? Crazy. Don't tell me he's already crazy. The treasure-hunting sword spirit was both embarrassed and shocked. Was this still the Chen Hao who used to be so calm that it made people's hair stand on end? The power of emotions is actually so strong. It's only been a few days, and it's already become like this. This is the strongest power of the human race. It's a power that you and I will never be able to truly understand or control. Don't pretend to be profound, just say it directly. Otherwise, he wouldn't even care about you. The mysterious existence said. Chen Hao, don't forget that she has the celestial venerates will left behind by her mother. The celestial venerates will. The treasure-hunting sword spirit did not pretend to be profound this time and directly said it loudly in Chen Hao's mind. Although Chen Hao's current ability could cut off the connection with the treasure-hunting sword spirit, it would not be a problem for the sword spirit to take the initiative to contact him again. As the saying goes, being too concerned makes one confused. You're thinking too much now. Although I don't know what happened to her, it's definitely not as pessimistic as you think. So what if it's the celestial venerate's will? Chen Hao finally did not directly scold the treasure-hunting sword spirit. Instead, he asked coldly. The celestial venerate's will could only allow one to escape from an essence soul expert. If one encountered a creation expert, even a miniature grotto heaven condensed from the celestial venerates would be useless. How could Chen Hao not have thought of this? Chen Hao was indeed confused, but it was not to the extent that he had lost his ability to think. There was only one explanation for Qin Shui's disappearance: she had met with a mishap. An essence soul expert was not qualified to trigger the celestial venerates will in Qin Shui's mind. She could have escaped by herself. What did that mean? It meant a creation expert. A creation expert had the ability to condense a miniature grotto heaven. Even if Qin Shui could trigger the celestial venerates will and escape to a miniature grotto heaven to recover, so what? A creation expert could destroy a miniature grotto heaven with a wave of his hand. No matter how strong a celestial venerate was, it was only a wisp of will. It was not so strong that a creation expert could not contend with it. A celestial venerates will is indeed nothing much, but don't forget that Qin Shui's celestial venerates will was set up by her master, her mother. If Qin Shui's celestial venerates will was activated, how could her mother not know? How could she not come over if she knew? You've been searching for more than a month now. Even if Qin Shui is dead, her mother would have found you long ago. Also, Qin Shui is only holding a jade slip refined by her mother, and she can sense your presence at any time. Do you think her mother can't sense her presence? Old God wanted me to tell you that the origin space can block all auras. In other words, Qin Shui's mother was definitely vigilant when you entered the origin space. Treasure Hunter's sword spirit spoke of the deduction of the mysterious existence in a single breath. When he heard Treasure Hunter's sword spirit speak in this way, Chen Hao's scarlet red eyes that seemed to be on the verge of going mad finally flickered with a wisp of the light of contemplation. Even though we're unable to confirm exactly what happened, we know that Qin Shui's life is definitely not in danger. The most likely possibility is that her mother took her away. Impossible. Even if little Shui wanted to leave, how could she not inform me? She wanted to inform others, but what if others didn't give her the chance? Especially during this period of time, if you and Qin Shui's every move is being watched by her mother, think about it. Chen Hao was speechless from Treasure Hunter's sword spirit's words, and the expression on his face changed indeterminately. After an entire few minutes, Treasure Hunter's sword spirit suffered a tragedy. A thunderous, "Fuck your mother," almost shattered Treasure Hunter's sword spirit's eardrums. Of course, the prerequisite was that he had eardrums. "Fuck with all your strength, my mother is a man." Treasure Hunter's sword spirit replied gloomily. "Motherfucker, so what if you're my master? I reminded you out of goodwill, yet you scolded me. If you want to fuck me, then fuck me. Motherfucker, even the expert that created me is dead, why didn't you tell me earlier? Huh? You made me painstakingly look for you for over a month. And old God, fuck me. Don't fuck me, my mother is a man too. Not telling you is for your own good. If you continue cultivating the secular sword Dao, you might be able to break through. Of course, this is only my speculation. I'll only know the specific situation when I see Qin Shui again. You'd better make the best use of your time to cultivate and advance your realm. It's not good to be played around by others. Invoke the heavenly punishment. Even though your mental state isn't at perfection, it won't affect you much. Then go directly to the central continent and gather the materials we need to fuse. Secondly, see the world. People can't be without pressure, especially people like you. Before we gather the materials, we won't disturb you anymore. Everything depends on you. Chen Hao was just about to say a few more words, but the mysterious existence directly cut off the connection with him. Motherfucker. It's really possible that my every move is being monitored. Otherwise, why didn't you tell me? Chen Hao, who was enlightened, finally returned to normal. His scarlet eyes finally regained clarity, but at this moment, he was conflicted. Especially when he thought that his and Qin Shui's actions might have been watched by the nameless old man, his father's first wife, he felt even more uncomfortable. Qin Shui was her precious daughter that she had carried for over 100 years. If he did that to her without saying a word, wouldn't that be too disrespectful to his elders? Could it be that he heard me talking to myself and knew that something was going to happen tonight, so he forcefully took little Shui away? It's very possible. Otherwise, why didn't he leave after so long? Why did he leave that night? His mouth is cheap. Motherfucker, you can just think about it in your heart, why did you have to say it out loud? Now it's good. Pa pa. Chen Hao gave himself 2 slaps, his heart was filled with depression and shame. He could imagine, if the nameless old man really heard him talking to himself, what kind of feeling would he have? In front of the old man's mother, he said that he was going to push her daughter. The fact that he wasn't slapped was already a sign of his good temper. Chen Hao let out a long sigh of relief. It was only at this moment that he felt completely exhausted and was on the verge of losing all his strength. Especially the mental exhaustion, it was even more tiring than the 7 months he had spent in the 9 frozen pools. With a bang, he lay down with his arms and legs spread out. He wanted to sleep like this, but he immediately sat up again. He entered into a state of cultivation. There was no other way, this was not the 9 frozen pools, where he could quickly recover by sleeping. With a thought, he activated the space in his mind. Instantly, the spirit spring water filled the bath that he had dug earlier. His entire person was immersed in it. The current spirit spring water, compared to the original spirit spring water, was hundreds and thousands of times stronger. Such a small pool was enough for Chen Hao to cultivate for 10 days to half a month. Moreover, when the energy was about to be exhausted, Chen Hao only needed to take it back to the space in his mind, and it would automatically replenish the energy. In just a period of time, it would become exactly the same as before. Chen Hao did not know how the mysterious existence did it, but he was very satisfied with this effect. This meant that, as long as his spirit spring water was not wasted, it could be used up forever. The only pity was that ordinary water could not be mixed in, otherwise, it would really be used up endlessly. In a short time, Chen Hao became naked, naturally suspended in the spirit spring water. What a pity, what a pity. If this accident hadn't happened, I would have been able to take a bath with little Snow a month ago. Cough, cough, I can't have such thoughts anymore. A calm heart will naturally cool down. Cultivate, cultivate. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Qidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 368. 10 days later, just as the mysterious existence had said, Chen Hao's understanding of the secular sword principle had improved greatly. As for the so-called knot in his heart, it had disappeared because of Chen Shui's departure. Although it did not really disappear, he had lost the opportunity to burn firewood. Moreover, he did not have to face the charming Chen Shui every day. Naturally, the impact would be reduced to a minimum. After a year, Chen Hao had once again triggered a heavenly punishment, a half-step primordial soul stage heavenly punishment. In this desolate area, no one had seen how terrifying Chen Hao's heavenly punishment was. No one knew how much pain Chen Hao had suffered when he resisted the heavenly punishment. Even more so, no one knew how much improvement Chen Hao had obtained from the heavenly punishment. Only the fluctuation of heaven and earth spirit qi and the collapse of several giant mountains within a radius of nearly 10,000 miles had witnessed the terror of Chen Hao's heavenly punishment. On that day, countless extraterritorial demon beasts fled in all directions in horror. Crack, eh. In the central mainland, in a palace that looked like a fairyland, a graceful woman was immersed in cultivation. However, a slight vibration suddenly came from her mind, causing her to open her eyes abruptly. She was slightly surprised. She has broken through to the primordial soul stage. This girl can really, forcefully raise her realm to the incarnation stage. I thought it would take at least 2 or 3 years for her to reach the perfection of the incarnation stage in all aspects. I didn't expect her to advance to the primordial soul stage in just over a year. This graceful woman was none other than the female Immortal Supremacy who had hosted the Eastern Mainland Intersect competition, Immortal Supremacy Yunwei. A year ago, she had received news from the Limitless Immortal Palace's law enforcement disciple that Chen Hao and Chen Shui had killed 30 top genius disciples from the Western Mainland. 4 of them were disciples who had obtained the guardian order from the Western mainland's intersect competition. Although the top geniuses of the Southern Sea Islands were not worth mentioning in her eyes, they were disciples who had obtained the guardian token and would more or less be of use in the future. It was indeed a pity to die like this. She had wanted to remind Chen Hao and Qin Shui not to kill too much, but in the end, she did not do so after considering their talents and potential. Moreover, although the 2 of them had obtained the guardian token, they had another identity. She didn't want to interfere too much. Exalt Yunwei felt the aura of Chen Shui's guardian token vanishing and thought in her heart, it doesn't matter whether she has it or not. There's no need for me to worry about her. Besides, Yu Yu, Little Wu, and Little Yen are my disciples. I should fight for my disciples. She was naturally aware of the relationship between the 4 girls and Chen Hao. Moreover, Chen Hao was the only person she couldn't see through. To what extent could he achieve in the future? Even she couldn't figure it out. Since he was no longer able to take him in as a disciple, it wouldn't be wrong to use his own disciple to tie him down, right? Moreover, when she chose the 3 girls, it wasn't just because of their talents that she liked. Once a disciple who obtained a guardian token stepped into the primordial spirit realm, it would automatically disintegrate and disappear. This was also the rule that the limitless immortal palace implemented in consideration of the growth of the disciples of heaven and earth. If they were always protected in a greenhouse, how could a true genius be born? Crack, just as Venerable Ziwei was about to immerse himself in meditation again, a slight cracking sound came from his mind. This time, her eyes widened in surprise. This little guy has also broken through. This time, she was really surprised. Leng Yihan, also known as Qin Shui, could break through. Although she was a little surprised, she knew the secret contained in Qin Shui's body, so she was only a little surprised. However, Qin Hao being able to break through at this time shocked her. Less than 20 years old. Primordial Spirit Realm. Amazing, really amazing. Even among the monstrous geniuses of the Central Continent, he can be ranked in the top 10. And he's just a disciple who rose step by step from the 100 Empire role to the cultivation world. His cultivation environment and conditions can't be compared to those monstrous geniuses. If he had a good environment since he was young, what realm would he reach? I'm really looking forward to it. No, I have to speed up the pace of the 3 girls. After a brief shock, Venerable Ziwei directly disappeared from the palace. Heavenly Mist City. It was a city jointly controlled by the Immortal Tao, the Demon Tao, and the Devil Tao. It was the only city connected to other regions in the Heavenly Mist region, which was countless times more powerful than the Eastern Continent, the Western Continent, and the Southern Sea Islands. Like Emerald Smoke City, it was independent of the cultivation world. But its scale and population were several times larger than that of Emerald Smoke City. At that moment, the city walls that stretched for tens of thousands of miles were densely packed with cultivators. There were even dozens of Blessed Realm experts. All of them stood proudly at the top of the city walls and stared at the intense battle outside the city walls as well as the hordes of other realm monsters that continuously surged in from all directions. Beside each creation realm expert, there were countless young disciples gathered. Most of them were at the peak of the late nascent soul realm, half-step incarnation realm, and very few were at the primordial spirit realm. These young disciples were at the nascent soul realm, half-step incarnation realm, early incarnation realm, and middle incarnation realm. They were all sitting cross-legged, and there were countless people who were seriously injured. Obviously, they had experienced a fierce battle. And they were all trying their best to recover from their injuries. As for the peak of the late incarnation realm, half-step primordial spirit realm, and primordial spirit realm experts, they were in high spirits, and their fighting spirit was rising. Their eyes were bright as they stared at the young experts who were fighting the demon beasts outside the city wall. From time to time, there would be bursts of cheers, exclamations, and screams. The cheers were naturally for the disciples who had displayed great combat power and killed the powerful demon beasts. Some of the exclamations and screams were from the terror of someone, and some were from people who had died under the fangs of the demon beasts. Batches of people came up to heal and recover, and batches of people went down. The strength of the young disciples who went up became stronger and stronger. "Grandpa, let's go." On the tall, wide, and imposing city wall, there were two young girls who were constantly being watched by countless youths. When a new batch of demon beasts rushed over, they looked at an old man at the peak of the late creation realm beside them and said. The old man was tall and mighty, and his body was surrounded by a monstrous demonic aura. He was obviously a demonic cultivator, but his demonic aura did not make people feel the slightest bit of evil. On the contrary, it gave people a feeling of vastness, grandeur, and majesty. The two young girls who stood beside the old man and asked to fight had seductive figures, charming and enchanting looks, and were exactly the same. They were obviously twin sisters. Their dressing was also exactly the same. The only difference was that one of them wore an exquisite and beautiful bracelet on her left hand, while the other wore it on her right hand. If there was no difference, no one would be able to tell the two of them apart. The two young girls were at the peak of the half-step essence soul realm. Like the old man, they did not have the slightest bit of evil aura. It was very obvious that they were orthodox demonic cultivators. Go. Be careful, don't go too deep. The beast horde this time will probably reach the 5th level. Don't try to be brave, understand? Don't worry, Grandpa. We know what to do. The two young girls said at the same time. Their expressions were the same, and their figures were the same. After they finished speaking, their postures were the same. They instantly turned into a stream of light and rushed into the dense demon beast horde through the crack in the restriction that the old man had opened. At the same time, there were many peak late-stage incarnation realm and half-step incarnation realm experts on the city wall that spanned tens of thousands of kilometers. Some cultivators who could not hold on risked their lives to return to the city wall. Before the beast horde arrived, there were no signs. It came quickly, but it left slowly. Under normal circumstances, a 4th-level beast horde would last for 10 days. A 5th-level beast horde would last for 12 days. This was an existence that all the cities outside the cultivation world had to resist. It was also a time to test the strength of each city. Every time a beast horde occurred, there would be countless cultivators who could not return to the city in time. They would be drowned in the beast horde and die without leaving a trace. The strength of a city was determined by the baptism of tens of thousands of years. In areas where the beast horde was numerous and strong, the city would naturally be strong. If it was not strong, it would have been drowned by the beast horde long ago. It had to be said that the battle against the beast horde was an excellent opportunity for cultivators to hone themselves. Facing the endless demon beasts from outside the realm was the best time to test one's perseverance, hone one's combat skills, and break through one's limits. Therefore, under normal circumstances, creation realm experts would only make a move at the last moment. They would give the opportunity to the young people to hone themselves. Similarly, the arrival of the beast horde also meant that it was time to reap the rewards. The inner cores of the demon beasts from outside the realm, especially those of powerful demon beasts, were priceless treasures. The beautiful sisters have appeared, the two demon beauties have just entered the half-step essence soul realm. I wonder what amazing performance they will have. It's said that either of them has the ability to defeat an expert at the peak of the early stage essence soul realm. If they join forces, they are even more terrifying. Even an expert at the mid-stage essence soul realm is no match for them. Senior brother Feng Yun, it's said that Mo Wuqing from the Mo clan lost to Leng Ninggle in the free-for-all arena 7 days ago. Is that true? It's true. Moreover, it was only 10 moves. Although Mo Wuqing has just advanced to the essence soul realm, Leng Ninggle was able to defeat him in 10 moves. This is enough to prove that she has the ability to defeat an expert at the peak of the early stage essence soul realm. Leng Ninggle and Leng Ninghuan's strength and realm are basically the same. The power of the twin sisters when they join forces is naturally several times stronger. Even if I were to meet them, I might not be able to defeat them within 100 moves. That can't be. Senior brother Fengyun, you are at the peak of the mid-stage essence soul realm. You are the third strongest expert among the younger generation in Misty Cloud City. The young man who was addressed as Fengyun smiled and shook his head. He did not say anything else. There was a hint of passion in his eyes as he stared at the two beautiful figures charging into the beast horde. Similarly, a small number of young Essence Soul Realm experts stood on the city walls. Regardless of whether they were male or female, immortal, demon, or monster, their gazes were locked on the beautiful sisters, Leng Ningguo and Leng Ninghuan. No one knew that within the beast-tide army that stretched for almost 500 kilometers, there was a young man whose entire body was covered in blood and stains. His snow-white Daoist robe had been ragged since a long time ago and had turned blood red, and his entire body was covered in injuries of various sizes. His entire spirit, energy, and energy were extremely low as well. However, his eyes still emanated a fierce, firm, and almost insane glow as he ceaselessly moved closer and closer to the city that was only 500 kilometers away. Chapter 369. The densely packed demonic beasts that blotted out the sky and covered the earth were nothing to this young man's cultivation. However, their fearlessness and relentless attacks caused his injuries to worsen. This was especially so for the commander-level demonic beasts in the foreign domain. Once they appeared nearby, they would make the young man their first target to be killed. This young man was Qin Hao, who had stepped into the primordial soul realm. After triggering heaven's punishment and successfully stepping into the primordial soul realm, Qin Hao only spent half a month in seclusion in the cave to consolidate his realm. He didn't know where he was, but when he met several Incarnation Realm cultivators, he found out about the nearest city, Heavenly Mist City. However, he didn't expect to encounter a terrifying demonic beast horde when he was 15,000 miles away from Heavenly Mist City. They blotted out the sky and covered the earth, and there were countless of them. Even though Qin Hao's mental fortitude was astonishing, he was still extremely shocked and depressed when faced with the endless demonic beast army. This was the legendary beast horde. Why did he encounter it? Moreover, it suddenly erupted when he was about to enter the city. Cracks that resembled black holes tore through the void and descended from the sky. Qin Hao couldn't avoid them at all. It was impossible for him to retreat. After Qin Hao stepped into the primordial soul realm, his powerful soul perception soared to a radius of 10,000 miles. The spatial cracks that erupted in the void behind him were much stronger and more densely packed than the area he was in. Heart mantras that allowed him to merge with all things in the world were useless in the face of powerful concealment techniques and overwhelming demonic beasts. Moreover, Qin Hao knew that even if the demonic beasts weren't very strong and he was only 15,000 miles away from Heavenly Mist City, the chances of him successfully surviving the beast horde were very, very low. Once a cultivator who was training outside encountered a beast horde, the chances of him surviving were very low. Even if it was just a grade 3 beast horde, it was enough to kill a late-stage primordial soul realm expert. Moreover, the scale of the beast horde might be grade 5 or even higher. There was no road to heaven and no door to hell. If he flew in the sky, he might be swallowed by the spatial cracks. Unless his cultivation was above the creation realm, he would directly disappear from this world. How could he escape? The only thing Qin Hao could do was to kill his way to the nearest city. This was the only way to survive. 3 days, an entire 3 days, from the beginning of the beast tide to now, Qin Hao had not stopped for a moment. One man and one sword, madly slaughtered their way forward. During this time, they encountered several groups of cultivators, and they watched helplessly as they died under the trampling of the demon beast army. There were even several mid-stage primordial spirit realm experts who had run out of energy and were dismembered by the demonic beasts. On the first day, Qin Hao had already reached the point where he was like a lamp that had run out of oil. Even though there was a mysterious existence constantly replenishing his energy, it was simply not enough to satisfy such a level of battle. This consumption was simply incomparable to the time when he was at the barrier of the 9 frozen pools. The mysterious existence's replenishment of energy was only 1 in 10 million, or even 1 in 10,000. How could it satisfy such a crazy battle demand? However, Chen Hao relied on his strong willpower to support himself and his ability to utilize energy to the extreme to minimize his consumption. When it was necessary, he didn't hesitate to pay the price of injuring his body in order to save energy. He tried his best to persist and move forward. Again and again, he broke through his own limits. On the first day, he advanced 20,000 miles. On the second day, he advanced 8,000 miles. Wherever he passed, he didn't see any more cultivators. On the third day, until now, he had only advanced 2,000 miles. However, in front of Chen Hao, it was so close yet so far. After an entire day, he had only advanced 1,000 miles. 1,000 more miles, the mysterious existence madly gathered the energy in the spirit spring to replenish Chen Hao's energy. However, it was just a drop in the bucket. Apart from the persistence in his heart, Chen Hao's spirit was on the verge of withering. If it weren't for the amazing recovery ability of the immortal bloodline, he would have collapsed long ago. At this moment, he was completely relying on his willpower to support himself and enter a trance state. However, every sword strike he sent out contained a terrifying sword will. With the smallest consumption of energy, he obtained the greatest effect. It seemed to have become his most instinctive reaction. Moreover, fortunately, as he got closer to the city, the demon beasts became weaker and weaker. If they were still like the demon beasts from 30,000 miles away, Chen Hao would have died no matter how powerful he was. 1,000 miles. The last 1,000 miles. Chen Hao saw hope. His withered spirit suddenly squeezed out some more. The 5 elements sword in his hand madly killed the demon beasts in front of him. He couldn't remember how many demon beasts and commander-level demon beasts he had killed. He knew that the inner cores of these demon beasts were very valuable, but he didn't have the time to collect them. No matter how valuable they were, he had to be alive to enjoy them. Moreover, Chen Hao was now a nouveau riche. Even if the things he picked up were trash in the 9th frost pond, they were absolutely priceless in the world of cultivation. Roar! At this moment, the aura of demon beasts blotted out the sky from the cracks in the space again. A new wave of demon beasts from the outer domain had come in. Middle stage primordial soul. Fuck. Chen Hao, who had just seen hope, recovered a little from his trance. He didn't expect that a new wave would begin again. What did this mean? He had already seen and sensed it. It was a commander-level demon beast at the intermediate primordial soul stage. In the blink of an eye, the demon beasts that blotted out the sky and covered the earth came down like locusts. Apart from the commander-level demon beast at the intermediate primordial soul stage, the other demon beasts were much stronger than the one Chen Hao was facing now. If Chen Hao was in his peak condition, or if he had enough true core, he would definitely be able to kill a commander-level demon beast at the intermediate primordial soul stage as soon as he stepped into the early primordial soul stage. But now, he didn't have the strength to do it. Looking at the commander-level demon beast at the intermediate primordial soul stage only shaking its head, Chen Hao was really scared when it charged at him like the other demon beasts he had encountered before. He was very clear that with his current condition, he couldn't do anything to this commander-level demon beast at all. With no other choice, Chen Hao suddenly summoned the true core in his dantian and let out a long howl. 1,000 miles, 1,000 miles. He believed that his howl would be heard by all the cultivators in Heavenly Mist City. Being proud and arrogant, he didn't call for help even under such circumstances. Instead, he chose to howl. In the cruel world of cultivation, what was the use of calling for help? Rather than calling for help in a servile manner, it was better to fight to the death and escape with one's primordial soul. A few years later, one would be a hero again. But not calling for help didn't mean that Chen Hao didn't want to be rescued. The reason why Chen Hao let out a long howl was that he hoped to meet a kind-hearted person. There was no other way. Chen Hao really couldn't bear to part with his body that was becoming stronger, more handsome, and more manly. Everyone loved beauty. Even Chen Hao didn't love beauty. But this abnormal and special body of his couldn't be found anywhere. Chi. After letting out a long howl, Qinhao gathered a small amount of true core and stabbed the commander-level demon beast at the back of his hand. At the same time, he continued to charge toward the city with all his might. He didn't know whether there were kind-hearted people or not, but he definitely couldn't rely on kind-hearted people. The one he really had to rely on was himself. Huh? When the two beautiful sisters heard Qinhao's howl, they tacitly looked at each other, feeling a trace of surprise and astonishment. They had gone deep into the demonic beast horde for hundreds of kilometers. Big sister, who's so bold as to go deeper than us? Leng Ningle asked while killing demon beasts that weren't much of a threat. We'll know once we go and take a look. Leng Ninghuan said. Although the duo's perception could extend for thousands of miles, it was undoubtedly a fool's dream to capture the aura of a cultivator in this beast tide. Forget about them, even the Blessed Realm elites on the city walls didn't have such fine senses. Hence, they could only go and take a look to figure it out. Shik. The two people attacked at the same time with their swords. There was no need for words. The two people who had a tacit understanding of each other cooperated with each other. They flew at a low altitude, and rays of sword light cut down the demon beasts that pounced on them madly. They quickly went deeper in the direction of the howl. The sisters knew very well how terrifying the monster horde was. Even though they were relaxed now, that was because they were in peak condition. If it had continued for 4 to 6 hours, it definitely wouldn't have been so easy. Of course, the two of them also knew that it would be very dangerous if they went deeper. The deeper they went, the stronger the demon beasts they would encounter. However, the two of them were fearless. The source of the howl was at most 1,000 kilometers away. Before a new monster horde came, they would have no problem killing them back and forth. Someone come. I can't take it anymore. No, I can do it. Boom boom boom. Perhaps it was because his primordial spirit had fled, but Qinhao's spirit seemed to have returned to him as the situation became more and more dangerous. He became extremely lively, and despair didn't affect his heart at all. He roared in his heart as he frantically defended against the attacks of the commander demon beasts and the numerous demon beasts. Are you here to help? Qinhao's powerful, sharp, and abnormal soul perception, even in the chaotic aura of the demon beasts, was able to do something that ordinary cultivators couldn't do. He could clearly identify two demon chi that were different from the demon beasts outside the domain. They were quickly and directly approaching in his direction. Demon Dao women. Immortal, demon, and demon Dao have always been at odds. But when resisting the monster horde, we must be united against the outside world. They shouldn't cause trouble, right? Damn it. As long as they don't cause trouble. If they are willing to help me, I can even repay them with my body. Demon Dao women don't seem too bad. Cough cough. Fuck, it's already at this point, how can I still have such thoughts? Qinhao scolded himself in disdain. He didn't know that his understanding of the secular sword Dao was getting deeper and deeper. Although his essence hadn't changed, his personality had already undergone an astonishing change. In addition, during this period of time, because of the extreme temptation brought by Qin Shui, when he couldn't help but think of the enchanting beauty of demon Dao women, it gave birth to some kind of physiological throbbing. But, it was only a little. Men, especially men who were dissatisfied with their desires, would hide their heads in their pants and think about problems at certain times. This was a common thing. As long as they didn't really do things with their pants, they were good men, right? Qinhao was a good man. This, he himself was sure. But that didn't mean that he didn't have any thoughts. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Qidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 370. They were only 400 to 500 li away, and Leng Ninglu and Leng Ninghuan had just started fighting not too long ago. They were both in their peak condition. In addition, the beast horde was very weak, especially those that were too close to the city. Therefore, the two of them were advancing at a very fast speed. Chen Hao was like a dragon in shallow waters and a tiger in the plains. He was only a commander in the middle stage of the primordial soul realm. If he was in peak condition, he would be able to kill this huge sow with just a strand of his leg hair. However, he was now facing a tortoise that was making it difficult for him to move forward. Moreover, the situation was getting more and more dangerous. The only thing he could hope for now was that the two demon Dao ladies could help him get rid of this old sow. In that case, even if they did not care about Chen Hao's life or death, Chen Hao was confident that he could hold on until he entered the city. Otherwise, Chen Hao could only abandon his beloved physical body and escape with his primordial soul. It can't be, right? When the sisters clearly saw a young man who was neither human nor ghost desperately fending off a horde of demonic beasts, especially a demonic beast that resembled an old sow but was dozens of times larger than the demonic beasts, they immediately revealed a look of extreme shock. What kind of a tragic scene was that? The two beautiful sisters simply could not imagine how this young man who was completely naked, whose clothes were ragged, whose body was covered in blood, whose body was riddled with wounds, and whose face was riddled with wounds so deep that his bones and flesh could be seen, could still be alive. How could he still have the strength to fight? Although this young man's aura was obviously at the early stage of the primordial soul realm, how weak was his essence, chi, and spirit? How weak was his true origin? However, the young man was still swinging his sword. The true origin contained in each strike was too weak in the eyes of the sisters. However, the sharp sword will and the sword Dao attribute that was filled with the aura of destruction in each strike was exceptionally shocking. What shocked the sisters even more was that this ugly young man was still emitting a bright, sharp, and soul-stirring radiance under such circumstances. Could he have encountered a beast tide when he was training outside? When did such a young expert appear in Heavenly Mist City? Moreover, he was a young expert who had comprehended the sword Dao attribute of destruction. How long had he been fighting to become like this? In an instant, countless questions popped up in the hearts of the sisters. Just by looking at the young man's current appearance, it was certain that the young man had been fighting for a very, very long time. At least a day, right? A cultivator of the immortal Dao. Sister, should we save him? An immortal. Lele, do you want to save him? Lengning Huan and Lengning Lu stared at each other in shock as they asked in unison. You want to save, alright, let's save him. Even if we do, we might still die. The two of them spoke at the same time without missing a word. Both of them could see the shock and admiration in each other's eyes towards Chen Hao. Yes, it was praise. Although they didn't know how long Chen Hao had been fighting for, the fact that Chen Hao could still persist in his current state was enough to earn their admiration. This was definitely not something an ordinary person could do. Most importantly, the other party's life aura was clearly very young, but he was already an early-stage primordial spirit realm expert. In the entire Heavenly Mist City, he was one of the strongest. Of course, the most important reason why the two of them chose to save him was because of their family. Although they cultivated demonic cultivation techniques and their families were orthodox demonic cultivators, the blood of cultivators of the immortal Dao flowed in their bodies. Strictly speaking, the Heavenly Mist City's Leng family was a neutral family between the immortal Dao and the demonic Dao. The moment the two beautiful sisters appeared, Chen Hao was immersed in an extremely dangerous battle where he could die at any moment. However, his mind was still at ease. The only thing lacking was his energy and condition. Therefore, he naturally saw the two women clearly. Not only were they beautiful demonic cultivators, but they were also the legendary beautiful sisters. Each of them was a rare beauty. When the two of them were placed together, it was even more alluring. Of course, Chen Hao didn't have any other thoughts at this moment. He was only concerned about whether these two beautiful demonic cultivators would become good people again. Finally, when the two beautiful sisters brandished their swords at the same time and launched an extremely powerful attack towards the commander demonic beast that resembled an old sow, Chen Hao heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. The two beautiful sisters were only half a step away from the primordial spirit realm, but the combat power they displayed together surprised Chen Hao slightly. When he sensed their auras, he already knew their realms. Moreover, based on the speed at which they were advancing, he could roughly estimate that their strength was enough to defeat this large Sao. However, he didn't expect that when the two of them worked together, their combat power would actually increase by several times. With just one move, they had shaken the old Sao into retreat. At this moment, the two beautiful sisters swished to Chen Hao's left and right sides. With a flash of sword light, they forced back all the low-level demonic beasts. They grabbed onto Chen Hao's left and right arms respectively. One of them blocked the incoming old Sao, while the other killed the incoming low-level demonic beasts. "What's your name? Where are you from?" asked the beautiful demonic cultivator who was killing the low-level demonic beasts. She was the younger sister, Leng Ninglu. Her voice was crisp and carried the natural charm of a demonic cultivator, causing Chen Hao to be slightly stunned. Of course, Chen Hao wasn't bewitched by the beauty, and it was even more impossible for him to be bewitched by her voice. He just didn't expect that the two beautiful demonic cultivators would not only help him block the old Sao, but also protect him on both sides as they returned to the city. "My name is Chen Hao. I'm from the cultivation world of the Eastern continent. Thank you for your help," Chen Hao said in a deep voice. His voice was calm and there wasn't even a trace of trembling. This caused the two beautiful sisters to be even more surprised. They were very clear that with Chen Hao's current state, if he met someone to save him and relaxed his mind, even if he didn't faint, he would fall into extreme pain. However, Chen Hao, who was covered in wounds that revealed his bones and flesh, was still so calm and composed. "Eastern continent? Then. Lulu, let him heal. This is like the final radiance of the setting sun. I'm afraid he won't make it if we wait any longer." Just as Leng Ninglu was about to ask another question, Leng Ninghuan stopped her. "Oh. Then hurry up and heal your wounds. We sisters are called Leng Ninghuan and Leng Ninglu. She's the older sister and I'm the younger sister. We saved you. If you don't survive, your things will belong to us. If you survive, you have to follow us sisters and be our subordinate. I don't know what you look like, but don't be too ugly. Otherwise, it'll affect our impression. This is the rule of the demonic cultivators. You should understand, right?" Cough cough. "I understand," Chen Hao said with a conflicted face. Unfortunately, with his face full of scars, it was impossible to see. Chen Hao was very clear that the lively demonic cultivators were telling the truth. Moreover, they said it very nicely, changing the word servant to subordinate. This was the rule of the demonic cultivators. Chen Hao had known this for a long time. Otherwise, he wouldn't have said, "I'll give myself to you." It's good that you understand. Hurry up and heal your wounds. It's really surprising that you're able to reach primordial spirit realm at such a young age in the Eastern continent. Did you win the intersect tournament? Lulu, oh. Go ahead and heal your wounds. Hearing her sister's words, Leng Ninglu immediately shut her mouth. This was the difference between sisters. Although Leng Ningli's question was what Leng Ninghuan wanted to ask, Leng Ninghuan's rationality was able to control herself. On the other hand, Leng Ninglu couldn't. "Can I borrow 2 primordial crystal stones?" To the sisters' surprise, Chen Hao actually said such a thing. "Don't tell me you're so poor that you don't even have enough primordial crystal stones for cultivation. If you die, won't we?" Cough cough. "As long as you can hold on, I won't die. Don't worry, I'm not ugly. I won't affect the city's appearance. Moreover, I'm an primordial spirit realm cultivator. My combat strength is high, and my character is good. I guarantee that you'll be satisfied. As for the primordial crystal stones, I've used them all up." Chen Hao boasted. He had no choice. Although the two ladies didn't look evil, the distance from here to the city was close to 1,000 miles. It would take a lot of effort to carry a severely injured person. If the two of them felt that he was worthless and didn't save him, then it would be a tragedy. What were primordial crystal stones? However, no matter how precious the stones in his mind were, he couldn't refine and absorb them like primordial crystal stones. He couldn't use the spirit spring water at this time either. Moreover, he had already used up all his primordial crystal stones. He didn't even have a single strand left. It was too slow to rely on the mysterious existence to waste precious spirit spring water and absorb the spirit chi of heaven and earth. In particular, Chen Hao was very worried that there would be another accident. With his sharp senses, he could clearly feel the tremors in the void. It was filled with danger. Therefore, he had to recover some of his combat strength as soon as possible. Alright, here you go. Hurry up and heal your wounds. Leng Ninglu smiled and handed 2 primordial crystal stones to Chen Hao. Thank you. Chen Hao said. Holding the 2 pieces of primal crystal stones, Chen Hao took a deep breath as his entire body trembled slightly. The pain brought about by the huge injuries and weakness all over his body was definitely not something an ordinary person could endure. However, this kind of pain was not a problem for Chen Hao's tenacious nerves. On the other hand, Chen Hao slowly closed his eyes and multitasked. A strand of his mind was paying attention to the battle between the two of them while reciting the general outline of the Grand Tao. At the same time, he tempered primal crystals and circulated more and more true essence within his dantian to quickly repair his heavily injured body. However, he was a little more thoughtful. Not only did he not heal the wounds on his body, but he also used his mind to prevent them from healing quickly. The immortal bloodline was one of his secrets and also one of his life-saving trump cards. He definitely couldn't let these 2 unfamiliar girls of the demonic Tao know about it. Under the cover of the sisters, the 3 of them quickly approached the city. The old sow with a tough scalp and thick flesh refused to let go, greatly hindering the speed of the 2 girls. Moreover, the 2 girls were only at the half-step primordial soul realm. It would not be easy for them to kill this old sow. If they were at the city's borders, the 2 girls would not hesitate to join forces and kill it. However, they were almost 1,000 miles away from the city. They could not afford to expend too much energy. These 2 girls. I told them not to show off, but they ran away without a trace. The aura of the beast tide is getting stronger and stronger. Could it be a grade 6 beast tide? They should be fine. On the city wall, the sister's grandfather stared at the densely packed beast tide and thought to himself. Chapter 371. The beast tide was a rare opportunity for young cultivators to hone themselves. Since it was a form of training, it was impossible for them to rescue them at any time. Furthermore, under the protection of the barrier in the city, even a Blessed Realm elite could only wait for the sealing barrier to be activated if they wanted to go out and save people. Under normal circumstances, the barrier would open once every 6 hours. The young cultivators who could not hold on outside would return, while the young cultivators in the city would join in the battle. Only when the level of the demonic beasts had reached a level where the young disciples could no longer resist would the older generation experts act in batches. Even so, it was impossible to completely exterminate the beast tide. They could only stop the beast tide from approaching the city and hold on until the beast tide disappeared. As for the demonic beasts that were not killed, they would disappear into the wilderness and become targets for the cultivators in the future. Moreover, under the cover of the beast tide's aura, even manifestation realm experts would not be able to lock onto the cultivator's aura. The only thing they could take note of was what they could see with their eyes. But now, the 2 girls had gone deep into the area where the old man could not see. In addition, the aura of the beast tide was getting stronger and stronger, and the ripples in the air were getting stronger and stronger. The old man could not help but worry. 2 hours later, all the young disciples began to approach the city. Some of the weaker ones had already formed small teams to resist the endless tide of beasts. At this moment, there were only 2 hours left before the barrier would open. Why are there so many? Sister, what should we do? In the depths of the beast tide, the beautiful sisters brought Chen Hao 100 miles closer to the city. What made the 2 of them frown and worry was that the detestable old sow seemed to be in heat. It let out a series of boar roars that shook the heavens and the earth. It actually attracted the powerful commander demonic beasts within a radius of a few hundred miles to gather around them, forming an encirclement. This greatly affected the speed of the beautiful demon sisters who were carrying Qinhao. They also felt great pressure and danger. If this continued, not to mention returning to the city before the barrier opened, even staying alive would be a problem. Lele, lend me 2 more primal crystal stones. At this moment, Qinhao, who had one arm wrapped around his waist by Leng Ninglu, suddenly spoke again. Huh? Hearing Qinhao's words, the beautiful sisters were both stunned. Only then did he notice that the primal crystal stones in Qinhao's hands had already turned into fragments. It was obvious that they had been completely refined. Those were 2 pieces of high-grade primal crystal stones. How could they be used up so quickly? Moreover, Qinhao was seriously injured. Similarly, the way Qinhao addressed Leng Ninglu also made her frown slightly. Lele was a nickname that only her sister, grandfather, and parents gave her. Even other family members had to respectfully call her Second Mississippi. Quick, a new batch of beasts is about to enter the beast tide, and it will definitely be stronger. Qinhao urged, his voice carrying a hint of command. Here. Just as Leng Ninglu was about to pinch her nose in dissatisfaction, Leng Ninghuan took out 2 peak-grade primal crystals and stuffed them into Qinhao's hands. Sister, he doesn't know how to be polite. Leng Ninglu said to Leng Ninghuan unhappily when she saw that Qinhao had entered a state of cultivation after receiving the primal crystals. His life aura is younger than ours by a few years. To be able to reach the primordial spirit realm in such a backward place like the eastern continent, it would be abnormal if he didn't have some pride. Lele, have you seen anyone who can refine primal crystals so quickly? And he's seriously injured. We saved his life this time, maybe he can help us get back at him. How dare he call me Lele? He doesn't know our identities, only our names. He called you Lele because he thinks we're close. It's nothing. Oh, don't be distracted, let's get closer to the city. This beast tide has exceeded my grandfather's estimation, it's probably going to reach the 6th level. Judging from the fluctuations, another batch of powerful beasts should be arriving soon. Leave him to me. Whoosh. Leng Ninghuan took out a whip and coiled it around Qinhao, tying him to her back in an instant. He stood back to back with his sister, Leng Ninglu, blocking the powerful commander-level beasts summoned by the old Sao as they desperately approached the city. Chi-chi, in the void, the cracks in the space once again emitted a dazzling light and a terrifying aura. The experts on the city wall, even those in the creation realm, had a grave expression on their faces. It was obvious that the level of this beast tide had exceeded everyone's expectations. Why haven't the 2 girls appeared yet? The old man was really anxious now. The last batch of commander-level beasts was already at the mid-stage primordial spirit realm. How strong would the next batch be? However, the sisters were still nowhere to be seen within a few hundred miles. How could the old man not be anxious? He was well aware of the combat strength of the 2 sisters. A mid-stage primordial spirit realm beast might not be able to do anything to them, but it would take a lot of effort to kill them. How long could they last in this terrifying beast tide? Even if there were no powerful beasts now, the 2 sisters would not be able to last for 12 hours. They had to return to the city wall before the boundary opened this time. However, as time passed, there was only an hour left before the boundary opened, but the 2 sisters had not appeared in his line of sight. Everyone, let's work together to set up a defense. More powerful beasts are coming. Quick, let's gather together. Not far from the city wall, countless young disciples had grave expressions on their faces. Many of them were already seriously injured. The huge change in the sky at this moment meant that the following battle would be even more thrilling. It was also the time to test their abilities. Chi-chi-chi, as the crowd gathered together, countless beasts descended from the cracks in the space like a plague of locusts. They covered the sky and the earth as they pressed down. In just an instant, everyone was so shocked that they sucked in a breath of cold air. The lowest level beasts were at the peak of the late-stage incarnation realm. For every 1,000 beasts, there were 100 half-step primordial spirit realm beasts, 5 early-stage primordial spirit realm beasts, 2 mid-stage primordial spirit realm beasts, and 1 late-stage primordial spirit realm beasts. Such a terrifying lineup made all the young disciples who were fighting change their expressions drastically. Some of the weak-willed ones were so frightened that they almost wet their pants. The aura of death shrouded everyone. Below the city wall, which had a circumference of 10,000 miles, countless young disciples formed a joint defense formation. There were hundreds of them, and there were nearly 1,000 of them. Some of them recovered at the core, while a small number of them blocked all the beasts outside. Then, they continuously changed positions to reduce their energy consumption. They waited for the barrier to be activated. Even though it was only an hour, it was undoubtedly a life-or-death situation for everyone. Those who could persevere would be able to survive. Those who could not persevere would only die. All primordial spirit realm elites, get ready. The scale of the beast horde this time might surpass the 6th grade. This is a test for Heavenly Mist City. It is also the largest beast horde in the past 100 years. All blessed realm elites, please immediately enter your positions and strengthen the barrier. A loud and majestic voice resounded through the entire Heavenly Mist City. In an instant, countless elites who were still in the city flew into the air. They flew toward the city wall. As for the true experts in the Blessed Realm and the other leading figures of a region, they activated a plate and entered their own positions. Protecting the city was their duty. The barrier seal of the entire city had to be maintained by the Blessed Realm elites. What did it mean to surpass the 6th grade? This was no longer the time for the young disciples to train themselves. This was because they would only be courting death if they went out. Regardless of their age, as long as their cultivation base was above the primordial spirit realm, they would have to do their best to kill the beasts. This had already evolved into a battle to protect the city. The barrier was the last line of defense. When the beautiful sister's grandfather heard the loud and majestic voice in the air, he swept his gaze over the endless beasts for the last time. He no longer held any hope. At this moment, they had not gathered with the others to form a joint battle formation. What hope did they have? They were his 2 most beloved granddaughters, and they were the 2 most talented granddaughters. But now, he was powerless. He could only suppress his feelings of regret and sadness and throw himself into his position to protect the city. Hiss. The moment he left, his gaze suddenly narrowed when he saw his beloved granddaughter. What surprised him even more was that Huan was carrying a person whose face he couldn't see clearly at all. They were 200 miles away. Were these 2 girls crazy? How could they save someone in such a dangerous situation? If there was no beast tide, they could cover 200 miles in an instant. But now, what did 200 miles mean? The old man was happy, shocked, and angry. He was happy because he finally saw his 2 precious granddaughters, and they were not seriously injured. He was shocked because the 2 of them were carrying a person who was obviously seriously injured. He was angry because they were in such a dangerous situation. Why were they saving someone? The old man wished he could rush over and beat up his 2 kind-hearted granddaughters. The old man clenched his fists tightly. Even his beard was trembling. At this moment, he could only pray that his 2 precious granddaughters could explode with power that exceeded their limits. Otherwise, he knew very well what they would face. Ah! The beautiful sisters of the Ling family. Fuck your mother. Sisters at a time like this? Kill them. It's over, it's over. They're finished. My goddesses, they won't live. I don't think I'll survive either. If I can die with them, I might be reincarnated as their big brother next door. Oh my god, if I really die, please fulfill my wish. Fuck off. Look at your face. Are you worthy? I'm not worthy. Are you worthy? When the beautiful sisters appeared in front of everyone, some of the disciples who were in a joint battle formation actually exploded in anger because of the beautiful sisters in such a dangerous situation. It could be seen how popular the beautiful sisters of the Leng family were in Heavenly Mist City. Unfortunately, at this moment, the two of them were clearly in a dangerous situation. No matter how beautiful the flowers were, they would probably wither. Lengning Huan is carrying a person. Who is that person? This is too fucking blissful. To be able to have intimate contact with the beautiful sisters, it's worth it even if I die. Angels of the demonic Tao are kind-hearted. In such a dangerous situation, they still want to save people. I've completely fallen. Let me die for them. A young cultivator who was seriously injured and was clearly struggling to hold on suddenly burst out with a shocking power under the stimulation of the beautiful sisters. As if he had gone crazy, he shouted loudly, "My angels, I'm coming to save you." Unfortunately, before he could even take 100 steps out of the battle formation, he was crushed into a bloody mist by a terrifying demonic beast. Chapter 372. Roar. A late primordial soul realm demonic beast finally flew into a rage when it saw that almost 10 mid-primordial soul realm demonic beasts were unable to kill the two puny humans even after such a long time. Its mountain-like body suddenly pressed down from the sky, causing the locust-like demonic beasts to retreat in all directions. The terrifying aura was like Mount Tai. Even if the sisters were at their peak condition, they would not be able to fight against this late primordial soul realm demonic beast, let alone the fact that they had already expended a lot of energy. Two screams came out of the sisters' mouths at the same time. At this moment, both of their minds were focused on Chen Hao. The two of them had not given up on Chen Hao for two reasons. Firstly, they were indeed kind-hearted. Secondly, although Chen Hao was severely injured, he was still an early primordial soul realm expert. Even with their sexy little buttocks, they knew that Chen Hao's combat strength was absolutely terrifying. Otherwise, he would not have been able to survive until now. Furthermore, the two of them could clearly feel that Chen Hao was recovering quickly. The aura that he emitted at this moment was enough to make them feel terrified. Therefore, when the new batch of powerful demonic beasts arrived, they already knew that they could only place their hopes of charging into the city on Chen Hao. Is it time to make a move? The two of them thought at the same time under the pressure and terrifying aura that they could not resist. However, even as the mountain-like body of the demonic beast descended, Chen Hao remained unmoved. It's over. What a pity. In the distance, the disciples who were temporarily resting in the battle formation and waiting for their replacements were all watching the sisters. At this moment, everyone's eyes were wide open, and their feelings of pity were overflowing with words. Roar. At this critical moment, seeing that the terrifying demonic beast was about to reach them, the sisters no longer harbored any hope. Just as they joined forces to unleash their strongest attack against the demonic beast, a deafening roar suddenly rose into the sky. At this moment, a bright golden light lit up the sky like a scorching sun, illuminating a radius of hundreds of miles. An incomparably huge figure suddenly rose above the sisters' heads like a phantom. The mythical Qilin. It was filled with an ancient aura. The deafening roar of the Qilin contained a force that could destroy heaven and earth. The Qilin's huge claws attacked. Rumble, there was an earth-shattering explosion as the mountain-like body of the late-stage primordial spirit realm demonic beast was sent flying into the void like a shooting star. At the same time, Lengning Huan and Lengning Lu suddenly felt an extremely pure and violent energy pass through their Mingmen and into their bodies without any side effects. The two of them were instantly replenished. The two women showed a shocked expression at the same time, not understanding why Chen Hao would do this. Could it be that he was still immersed in some kind of secret technique and was unable to make a move? How could the energy that was poured into his dantian be completely absorbed by these two demonic cultivators without any side effects? All sorts of shocking questions appeared in their minds. However, this was obviously not the time to be shocked. In a short moment, the two of them let out two clear and melodious roars under the surge of pure magic power. The sisters became one, tightly holding Chen Hao back to back as they violently charged towards the city. On and outside the city walls, countless people had already locked onto the Leng sisters the moment the divine beast Qilin appeared. It can't be. So strong. How is that possible? The Leng sisters actually have the divine beast Qilin's inheritance. And such a powerful Qilin inheritance. I'm afraid only those who have reached the mid-stage primordial spirit realm can unleash such power. On the city walls, Wu Fengyun, who was ranked third among the younger generation in Heavenly Mist City, let out a long sigh of relief when he saw the two beautiful figures. He was rather surprised as he said, "Phew. They are stronger than I thought. I didn't expect them to be hiding such terrifying strength." His tone was also filled with uncontrollable joy. They are still alive. They actually have the Qilin inheritance. Their strength has indeed increased very quickly, but they are still no match for me. You two bitches. Don't even think about snatching them from me. On the other side of the city walls, there was a graceful young lady who was like a fairy. She exuded an extremely powerful aura, and it was obvious that she was already at the peak of the mid-stage primordial spirit realm. There were no clues on her beautiful face at all, but in the depths of her eyes when she looked at the Leng sisters, there was a glint of coldness and disdain. This was especially so when she saw that the handsome young man beside her was also staring at the Leng sisters. This made the young lady even more furious. These two were the most dazzling existences among the younger generation in Heavenly Mist City. In the past 10 years, there was no one among the younger generation in Heavenly Mist City who could rival them. The young lady was Mo Yuxian, who was ranked second among the younger generation in Heavenly Mist City. She was also known as Fairy Yu. However, in the past 2 years, her title as the most beautiful genius had been gradually replaced by the Leng sisters, who were gradually rising. Just based on this point alone, she, who was proud and arrogant, couldn't stand it. Moreover, it was because of the young man beside her that she loved the most. This young man was ranked first among the younger generation in Heavenly Mist City, and he was known as the monstrous genius of Heavenly Mist City. Shiman Wenjian from the Shiman family had made a name for himself in the central continent. He was a swordsman at the peak of the late-stage primordial spirit realm, and he had condensed his sword will into a sword soul. His combat strength was unfathomable, and he was the leader of the younger generation in Heavenly Mist City. No one could shake him. "Little Yu, are you disappointed to see them come back alive?" Shiman Wenjian asked calmly. Don't worry. Although I am interested in these sisters, how can they be compared to you? We have feelings for each other for several years. The older one will definitely be you. The Leng family has always been neutral, and if we can deal with them, our Shiman family will surely be able to unify Heavenly Mist City. This is also the reason why we came back to Heavenly Mist City. Don't let your emotions affect your decisions. Make some preparations. There are still more than 10 minutes before the barrier opens. It's time for us to display our strength. Miss Leng, come quickly, come quickly. Everyone, listen carefully. Let's get closer to Miss Leng and provide support. Okay. It's our duty to rescue the angels. As the beautiful sisters of the Leng clan got closer and closer to the city, countless youths in the alliance battle formation closest to them howled as if they had been injected with chicken blood. Even if some female cultivators had some opinions about taking the risk to get closer to the two ladies, they couldn't stop them. This was the principle behind the saying, "The people's hearts are irresistible." Moreover, although there were only more than 10 minutes left, the demonic beasts' attacks were becoming more ferocious and violent. The frequency at which the battle formations were exchanging attacks was also increasing, and there were people dying or being heavily injured at almost every moment. Looking at the Leng sisters' ferocious advance amidst the demonic beasts, everyone understood that the sisters joining their ranks would only strengthen their defenses. At the very least, some people who seemed like they wouldn't be able to hold on would be able to keep their lives. Finally, the Leng sisters arrived at the battle formation before everyone else had moved too far. At this moment, everyone could clearly see and sense the person tied to Leng Ninghuan's back with a whip. He was in the early stage of the primordial soul realm, and he was very young. However, he was already injured beyond recognition, and they couldn't see his face clearly. Moreover, What surprised everyone was that the Leng sisters were still sandwiching the young man in the middle with their backs against each other even though they were clearly in the battle formation. It was as if they were afraid that he would be hurt in the slightest. What kind of person could make the Leng sisters so concerned about him? Little did they know that the Leng sisters also wanted to put Qin Hao down so that he could recuperate in the center of the battle formation. However, although they seemed to still have a lot of true origin left, they knew that this was all because of Qin Hao's continuous supply of true origin. Moreover, the two women were very happy in their hearts. They were very happy to enjoy the crowd's shocked gazes and praises. Especially the praises such as, "So strong, even fairy you might not be their match," and so on, made the two girls feel very comfortable listening to them. More than 10 minutes later, rays of multicolored light flashed, and the barrier was finally opened. Boom! Boom! Swish! Swish! Violent attacks suddenly appeared, and one figure after another soared into the sky, flying toward the passage opened by the barrier. Within the barrier, numerous primordial soul realm experts flew through the air. Streaks of sword light, fist shadows, palm shadows, and leg shadows that contained terrifying power arrived one after another, shielding the cultivators who could no longer hold on as they returned to the city. Huan, Lele, I haven't seen you for a few years. I didn't expect you to improve so much and become more beautiful. The instant the Leng sisters flew into the boundary with Qin Hao, a figure brushed past them in the air and spoke to the two girls. The two women were slightly stunned, but when they saw the woman beside the young man, they snorted coldly at the same time and jumped onto the city wall. Humph. Mo Yuxian also snorted coldly. It seems like they have a deep prejudice against you. Little you, if I come into contact with them again, you shouldn't appear for the time being, so as to not waste my precious time. A faint trace of displeasure flashed on Shiman Wenjian's handsome face as he transmitted his voice. As the leader of the younger generation in Heavenly Mist City, when had he ever been ignored? Or was it because of the young girls? It was simply impossible. Not to mention that countless young girls would take the initiative to throw themselves at him with just a glance, but it was close enough. However, after the Leng sisters glanced at him and Mo Yuxian, they snorted coldly and left. There wasn't even a trace of excitement or surprise in their eyes. Mo Yuxian was very displeased, but she couldn't say anything. She was now Shiman Wenjian's woman, and it was normal for a man to have many wives and concubines. Moreover, he was under the orders of his family. However, 2 or 3 years ago, Mo Yuxian was very displeased with the two little girls who stole her title. It was to the extent that she didn't hesitate to teach them a lesson whenever they appeared in the free challenge arena. As a result, the two girls didn't have many opportunities to obtain rewards and temper themselves in the free challenge arena. It would be strange if she didn't hate them. However, she still couldn't stop the growth of the two girls. Can you tell who the young man they brought with them is? It seems like they are very concerned about him. I don't know, Mo Yuxian said, and she didn't forget to slander him. Maybe he is their lover. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Qidian. Come to vote for it. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 373. Shiman Wenjian knew that Mo Yuxian said that on purpose, but he still felt as if he had swallowed a fly. In the terrifying beast tide, Leng Ninggle and Leng Ninghuan were protecting that deformed fellow. This was somewhat out of the ordinary. If that's really the case, then don't blame me. Shiman Wenjian thought to himself. After the beautiful sisters appeared on the city wall, they heaved a long sigh of relief and put Qin Hao down. Miss, are you all right? Clan leader was worried sick. The young disciples of the Leng clan immediately gathered around them. We're fine. It's just some minor injuries, Leng Ninggle said. That's good, that's good. Miss, this is. The gazes of the young disciples of the Leng clan all gathered on Qin Hao, who looked neither human nor ghost. Leng Ninggle wanted to speak, but Leng Ninghuan held her small hand and said, We met him in the depths of the beast tide by chance. He was severely injured, and he fainted a long time ago. Everyone, don't disturb him. Let's recover first. Chen Hao's body was covered with injuries that were so deep that his bones could be seen. His skin and flesh were torn open, and he looked half dead. In the eyes of the crowd, it was indeed a problem whether he could survive with such severe injuries. Was Chen Hao purposely pretending to be on the verge of death, or was this really the case? The sisters were more inclined towards the latter. In their opinion, Chen Hao must have been trying to provide them with energy, which caused his injuries to worsen. Elder sister, his injuries are too severe. Why don't we send him back to heal first? All right. This beast tide will probably continue for many days. Let's go. After the beautiful sisters finished speaking, they left with Chen Hao. 4 hours later, they returned to the city wall. At this moment, the beast tide was obviously more terrifying than before. Most of the cultivators had already started to gather at the bottom of the city wall. However, Shimen Wenjian and Mo Yuxian were still 200 miles away, and they were still crazily hunting. The performance of these two people, especially Shimen Wenjian's performance, shocked everyone. It should be known that there were only a few people of the younger generation fighting outside the city. Moreover, they were all outstanding figures of the younger generation in Heavenly Mist City. Most of them were veteran experts of the primordial soul stage. These experts had battle experience that the young disciples did not have. Moreover, most of them were half-stepped to the manifestation realm. However, due to their mental state, physical body, and many other reasons, they did not dare to trigger the heavenly punishment. After many years of consolidation, they were much stronger than the young geniuses of the same realm. They had also cultivated countless life-saving supreme skills. However, the battle talent and strength that Shimen Wenjian displayed made all the veteran elites pale in comparison. Although Mo Yuxian's performance was not as outstanding as Shimen Wenjian's, it was still quite powerful. This caused the cultivators on the city wall to exclaim and cheer. Is this Mo Yuxian's true strength? Elder sister, do you think that Chen Hao has any chance of resisting her? What do you think? I think, there should be hope. He had the Qilin's legacy. Moreover, the power displayed by the Qilin's legacy was something that only those in the intermediate or advanced primordial spirit realm could possess. It's obvious that his fusion with the Qilin's legacy has reached a very high level. Besides this, he managed to survive the beast tide. I really don't know how long he lasted. This kind of will and battle prowess is simply unfathomable. Also, the speed at which he refines primal crystals is simply too fast. Even more miraculous is that he is of the immortal Tao, yet he is able to provide us with pure demonic primal essence. Moreover, the purity of that primal essence is much higher than ours. Yes. I also think it's possible. This Chen Hao is very mysterious. I really don't know how he managed to survive with such heavy injuries. When the beast tide is over and his injuries are healed, we can give it a try. Okay. Leng Ninglu said with slight anticipation. It had been almost 3 years. Mo Yuxian had been targeting them, but they could not do anything. This was because Mo Yuxian did not violate the rules of Heavenly Mist City, causing them to gnash their teeth in hatred. If Mo Yuxian did not target them, they might have triggered the heavenly punishment and stepped into the primordial soul stage. 10 days later. The strongest beast tide in Heavenly Mist City in 100 years finally retreated under the combined efforts of countless experts and the barrier. At least 100,000 cultivators died in the beast tide, and this was only when they were guarding the city. If the cultivators who went out to train were included, the number would at least double. However, after the baptism of the beast tide, the cultivators of Heavenly Mist City gained a lot. In addition to the demonic beast cores and demonic beast materials, the more important thing was that the young cultivators were tempered. Heavenly Mist City, Lin Clan. In a huge palace, the patriarch of the Lin clan, Lin Kongya, returned to the Lin clan in low spirits because he had to maintain the barrier. However, the first thing he did was not to recover, but to summon the beautiful sisters, Leng Ninglu and Leng Ninglu. Grandfather, you two little girls, I told you that the beast tide was a little strange and that you shouldn't go too deep. do you know how dangerous it is? Also, you know it's dangerous and you can't even protect your own life, but you still want to save people? Not only did you save people, but the beast tide also became stronger. Why didn't you give up? What person is more important than your life? Grandfather, it's not like that. Leng Ninglu said embarrassedly. It's not that we don't want to give up on him, but we can't. Leng Ninghuan said. Can't give up. Why can't you give up? Oh right, I heard that you released the Qilin's inheritance. What's going on? The Qilin's inheritance was released by Qinhao. Grandfather, the situation at that time was a little complicated. We saved Qinhao first, but it was Qinhao who saved us. Without him, we wouldn't have been able to return. Qinhao. Where is he from? Hearing Leng Ninghuan mention Qinhao's name, Leng Kongye was slightly stunned. He seemed to have thought of something, and his eyes shone brightly. Yes, grandfather. He said that he came from the eastern continent. However, we don't know if it's true or not. It's impossible for there to be such a powerful person in the eastern continent. Qilin's inheritance, and he saved you. Did that kid use a sword that contained the energy of the 5 elements? Ah. Grandfather, how did you know? Then that's not bad. He must be the eastern continent's Qinhao. Grandfather. You know him? Yes. A year ago, Grandfather was invited by an old friend to participate in the annual auction in Emerald Smoke City. I heard a little about this kid. This kid is not simple. He's known as a monstrous genius in the eastern continent. He comprehended the destruction sword Dao and is proficient in concealment. He and his Dao partner instantly killed 30 top immortal geniuses of the Southern Sea Archipelago. At that time, this kid was only at the early stage of the Incarnation Realm, and his Dao partner was at the peak of the late stage of the Incarnation Realm. Among the 30 disciples of the Southern Sea Archipelago, several were half-step nascent soul realm, while the rest were at the peak of the late stage of the Incarnation Realm. This kid killed more than 20 people in one move. The leaders of the 10 immortal sects of the Southern Sea Archipelago were dispatched to capture this kid and his Dao partner, but in the end, they still escaped. In just a year, he actually reached the nascent soul realm. This talent. Killing more than 20 people in one move. Grandfather, is this true? Of course it's true. No wonder. If he was an ordinary person, he wouldn't have been able to survive with such heavy injuries, but he's fine. When we met him, we didn't know how long he had been fighting in the beast tide. Moreover, his refining speed was extremely fast, at least 10 times faster than my sister and I. What's even more amazing was that he was clearly a cultivator of the immortal Dao, yet he was able to provide us with pure devil Dao true essence. What? Leng Kongye was shocked when he heard Leng Ninghuan's words. We can't believe it either, but it's true. Where is he now? Bring him to see me. Leng Kongye frowned slightly. Then, his eyes flashed with an imperceptible light as he said, Grandfather will sign a contract for you. Grandfather, isn't that a bad idea? Leng Ninghuan frowned and asked. Yes, grandfather. Although we saved his life, he also saved our lives. Before the contract is signed, we should be considered even. No one owes anyone anything. Don't worry. Grandfather will sign an equal contract with you. There's no distinction between master and servant. Haven't you always wanted to go to the central continent to train? When you trigger the heavenly punishment and step into the primordial soul realm, you can go with this kid. Ah. The beautiful sisters were pleasantly surprised when they heard the old man's words. At the same time, they said, Grandfather, are you serious? Of course. Okay, we'll call him now, but grandfather, we just went to see him. He's still in the state of cultivation. Leng Ninghu said. Give him this 9-yang pill. Bring him to see me immediately when he's done. Leng Ningkong said as he took out an exquisite jade bottle and handed it to the two of them. The beautiful sisters widened their eyes in surprise. Even for them, unless they had suffered extremely serious injuries, their grandfather would not easily give them the 9 yang pills. They did not expect their grandfather to be so generous as to take out a 9 yang pill this time. The 9 yang pill was countless times more precious than the nirvana pill. However, only experts at the incarnation realm and primordial soul realm and above were qualified to use it. Physical bodies below the incarnation realm could not withstand the medicinal power at all. No matter how severe the physical injuries were, as long as they were not dead, they could recover in a short time. Hee. After watching the 2 little girls leave, a strange expression appeared on Leng Yekong's face. When things reach an extreme, they will move in the opposite direction. The Eastern continent's providence has already declined to such a state, but such a shocking genius has appeared. What does this mean? This kid's future is limitless. Huan and Lele were able to form a good relationship with him, so they will definitely be affected by his providence. Although my Leng clan can still stand firm now, how many years can I last? Thinking of this, Leng Kongye's expression flashed with a trace of loneliness. The Leng clan seemed to be huge, but it was facing a real crisis. The reason was none other than the lack of descendants. The beautiful sisters of the Leng clan were the last bloodline of the Leng clan. Leng Ninghuan and Leng Ningyu's father, who was also his son, was extremely mediocre in that generation. What made him even angrier was that his sons had found a bunch of Dao companions, but they only gave birth to a pair of beautiful sisters. Once he reached the end of his lifespan, Leng Ninghuan and Leng Ninglu would have yet to fully mature. At that time, the seemingly powerful Leng clan would definitely be divided up among the other clans. Chapter 374. They're here again. In a cultivation room in the Leng family's VIP area, Chen Hao, who was cultivating cross-legged, suddenly opened his eyes and muttered to himself in surprise. His injuries had long since recovered, but he had been immersed in cultivation. The crisis brought about by the beast tide allowed Chen Hao to surpass his limits again and again, benefiting him greatly. In addition, Chen Hao wanted to hide the secret of his undying bloodline, so he couldn't recover too quickly. Dong dong. Chen Hao deliberately adjusted his aura to a state where he was cultivating and was still a little weak. However, the 2 beautiful sisters, who had just left and returned, knocked on the door. At the same time, the 2 beautiful sisters' soft voices drifted into the cultivation room. Phew, Chen Hao waited for a moment before he let out a long sigh and pretended to exit his cultivation state. He responded and slowly walked out of the cultivation room. He was dressed in a black robe, and there were shallow scars on his originally handsome face. His spirit was obviously still injured. His face was also slightly pale, but it couldn't hide his elegant demeanor. The scars on his face imperceptibly added a cold and domineering aura. When the 2 girls saw Chen Hao's appearance, they clearly revealed a trace of surprise. Although they had been here before, they didn't see him. To be precise, they didn't even see Chen Hao's original appearance. How was this still the neither human nor ghost youth? Hey! You're Chen Hao. The leading figure of the Eastern continent's younger generation, the one who killed 30 peerless geniuses of the Southern Sea Islands, the Chen Hao? Leng Ningle's eyes widened as she slightly raised her head and stared at Chen Hao. How did you know? Chen Hao was just about to speak when he was stunned by Leng Ningle's words. Heavenly Mist City and Emerald Smoke City were nearly 100 million miles apart. How could they know his identity so quickly? Moreover, Chen Hao knew that Emerald Smoke City was just a remote slum compared to Heavenly Mist City. Who would pay attention to the matters there? But now, these 2 little girls of the Devil Path actually knew about his deeds. This was a bit too exaggerated. That's right. My grandfather guessed correctly. I didn't expect that not only are you not ugly, you are also so. When Leng Ninglu spoke up to this point, Leng Ninghuan habitually grabbed Leng Ningli's hand and stopped her. This is the 9 yang pill that our grandfather gave you. Eat it and heal yourself first. When you're better, we'll take you to see our grandfather. He wants to see you. 9 yang pill. This. Thank you. Chen Hao was slightly surprised, but he took it from Leng Ning Huan's hands. Hey, Chen Hao. We saved you first, didn't we? Leng Ning Lu asked again. Leng Ning Huan was slightly taken aback, but she did not stop him. Yes, it was indeed the two of you who saved me first. Without you, I'm afraid my physical body would be finished. You saved us after that, or rather, we fought against the enemy together. By saving us, you are also saving yourself. Can I say this? Leng Ning Li's expression was a little embarrassed, but she still said it with anticipation. Hee hee. Just say what you want to say. As long as I can help you, there will naturally be no problem. I understand the rules of the devil path. Chen Hao looked at the expressions of the two girls and said. That's good. Hurry and eat the pill to heal yourself. Sister and I will come to find you in a while. We'll talk later. Leng Ning Lu said with a happy smile. Huan Huan, Lei Lei, they are really happy. These two girls are really good. They saved my life. Even if they want to repay my kindness, it wouldn't be too much. They are actually embarrassed to use a negotiating tone. However, it seems that their grandfather gave me the 9-yang pill directly. After Chen Hao returned to the cultivation room, he thought to himself. The 9-yang pill was a much higher grade healing medicine than the nirvana pill. One pill was worth tens of thousands of high-grade primal crystal stones. Although it was nothing compared to Chen Hao's current wealth, Chen Hao believed that the two beautiful sisters would not use this pill casually. Otherwise, they would have used it on him a long time ago. Why would they wait until now? After casually putting the 9-yang pill into his interspatial ring, Chen Hao sat down cross-legged. Suddenly, the aura around him fluctuated strangely, and a majestic and pure true origin surged toward his skin. In an instant, the scars on his body began to disappear at a speed visible to the naked eye. Sister, although Chen Hao is not as strong as Shimin Wenjian now, I think he will be stronger in the future. What do you think? He has a lot of secrets on him. Didn't you see how surprised grandfather was? The Destruction Sword Principle, the Qilin's inheritance, and he killed more than 20 top geniuses with a single sword. Although the top geniuses of the Southern Sea Islands are definitely not much, he killed those above his level. Even we can't do that. Moreover, he advanced from the early incarnation stage to the early primordial spirit stage in less than a year. That's too fast. Moreover, grandfather allowed us to go to the central continent with him. You can imagine how much grandfather values him. Leng Ning Huan said. Yes. If he didn't help us, how good would it be if we saved him and signed a master and servant contract with him directly? Although it's only for a year, he can help us do a lot of things. At least we can teach Mo Yuxian a lesson for a year and let her have a taste of being suppressed. Also, that Shimin Wenjian is really disgusting. Mo Yuxian treats him like a treasure. What's so great about him? He thinks we don't know his purpose and is always trying to curry favor with us. Sister, I have an idea. I wonder if you're willing. What idea? Hee hee. We can get closer to Chen Hao. No matter if it's age, talent, potential, or appearance, Chen Hao is much better than Shimin Wenjian. As long as we make him feel that we have that kind of relationship with Chen Hao, I think he won't bother us like a fly. That's not good, right? What's not good about it? First, it's easy for Chen Hao to misunderstand us. Second, I'm afraid Shimin Wenjian will cause trouble for Chen Hao. What's wrong with that? We'll just tell Chen Hao in advance. He just said that as long as it's within his ability, he will help us. As for trouble, it's nothing. He won't dare to mess around with the rules of Heavenly Mist City. Moreover, grandfather said Chen Hao is good at hiding, so he will definitely go to the eastern continent. How is that trouble? If he's afraid of Shimin Wenjian, then he doesn't need to go to the central continent. You can't say that. Even if he goes to the central continent, he won't offend any expert. With Shimin Wenjian's character. Elder sister, don't think too much about others, okay? When the time comes, we'll just tell Chen Hao. If he wants to help, then he will. If he doesn't want to help, then he won't. Anyway, we'll tell him the pros and cons. That should be fine, right? Leng Ningguo stopped Leng Ninghuan and said. All right. The next day, Chen Hao was in high spirits. He had completely returned to normal. Under the guidance of the two beautiful sisters, he went to see their grandfather. What surprised Chen Hao was that the old man with an extremely powerful aura seemed to be chatting casually. He didn't put on any airs and just followed the rules of the demonic path. After discussing with Chen Hao, they signed a fair contract. There was only one condition, which was for the two ladies to follow Chen Hao to the eastern continent to train. The contract would last for a year. After a year, Chen Hao would be able to do as he pleased. Although Chen Hao was a little conflicted, he didn't reject it. After all, his life was saved by the other party. If what Leng Ningguo said was true, then even if it was an unfair contract, Chen Hao wouldn't be able to go against it. It was already good enough that he was able to get rid of his status as a servant. Of course, the most important thing was that Chen Hao could sense that although this family practiced the demonic path, they were of the orthodox demonic path. Otherwise, it wouldn't matter even if he went back on his word. With his ability, he would definitely have a chance to escape if he wanted to. Young Master Chen, the biggest auction house in Heavenly Mist City is the Heavenly Mist Chamber of Commerce. There are auctions every day. If young Master Chen needs anything, you can basically get it from there. Accompanied by a servant from the Leng clan, Chen Hao leisurely toured Heavenly Mist City. When they arrived at the auction house, the servant introduced him to Heavenly Mist City. This servant was specially arranged by Leng Kongye to guide Chen Hao. He was one of the stewards of the Leng clan. He looked to be in his 50s or 60s. His cultivation base was at the peak of the late-stage primordial spirit realm. He was surrounded by demonic aura and was extremely powerful. His eyes were filled with shrewdness. It was obvious that he was a person who knew the ways of the world. At this moment, the beautiful sisters had already entered seclusion to comprehend and consolidate what they had gained from the beast tide. According to them, once they came out of seclusion, they would be able to trigger the heavenly punishment and go to the central continent together. Chen Hao wanted to use this time to see if he could buy the materials needed to fuse with the mysterious existence. Therefore, he proposed to go to Heavenly Mist City for a stroll. Oh. I want to auction something first. Can I ask the Leng clan to help me? Ha, of course. Young Master Chen is our Leng clan's distinguished guest. I can help you with such a small matter. Actually, young Master Chen, you don't have to worry. The information of the Heavenly Mist Chamber of Commerce's auctions won't be leaked, the steward said with a smile. At least the people in the Chamber of Commerce will know. Ha. Then I'll have to trouble you, senior. Chen Hao said, I have 5 mutated panther fruits here. Each of them can increase one's lifespan by 30 years, ah. Young Master Chen. The steward, who was smiling, was shocked when he heard Chen Hao's words. His voice trembled as he said, Are you serious? What's wrong? This. Can you talk to our patriarch about it? Our patriarch. He's been buying heaven and earth spiritual items that can increase one's lifespan. If they can really increase one's lifespan by 30 years, our patriarch will definitely participate in the auction. What I mean is, can you let our patriarch make a bid? Don't worry, our patriarch won't let you suffer a loss. I see. Okay. Then we'll go back and talk to your patriarch directly. This is a serious matter. Young Master Chen, how about we go back now? Alright, 30 years. It can definitely increase one's lifespan by 30 years. After the two of them returned to the Leng clan, they went straight to the patriarch of the Leng clan. When the steward told the patriarch of the Leng clan about the situation, the patriarch of the Leng clan was pleasantly surprised. He could not wait to ask Chen how to take out a mutated panther fruit. When he saw the panther fruit, he said excitedly, Young Master Chen. Chapter 375. Chen Hao, old man can't estimate the exact price of your mutated panther fruit, but it will definitely be very, very high. How about this? I only want one. I can't afford 5. You also know that the effect of any kind of heaven and earth spirit treasure is only the first one. Its effect is the greatest. The second one's effect will be halved. At the same price, I can buy other heaven and earth spirit treasures that can increase one's lifespan. As for the other 4, you can auction them. Old man will buy yours at the average price of the 4. How about it? Lin Kongye said after returning the mutated panther fruit to Chen Hao. Although he wanted to eat all of them, he knew the value of these mutated panther fruits. 5 of them would definitely consume 30% of the Lin clan's wealth. Moreover, the premise was that they had to sell their clan's savings to buy them all. Heaven and earth spirit treasures that could increase one's lifespan by 30 years were extremely difficult to find, especially the panther fruit. The panther fruit itself was a rare kind. A year ago, at the auction of the Emerald Smoke Chamber of Commerce, a panther fruit that could increase one's lifespan by 3 years was sold for 110,000 high-grade primal crystal stones. How much could a panther fruit that could increase one's lifespan by 30 years be sold for? That wasn't calculated by a factor of 10, but by a factor of at least a factor of 100. Patriarch Leng, the reason why I'm selling this mutated panther fruit is that I want to exchange it for some primal crystal stones. Secondly, I want to buy some materials. If you have the materials I need, the price doesn't matter. I can exchange it with you. Chen Hao smiled and said generously. In the 9 underworld frost pool, due to the control of the origin energy and the mysterious existence, the panther fruit tree had mutated and produced 365 panther fruits at once. Moreover, each panther fruit contained life origin energy that was more than 10 times greater than the original panther fruit. According to his estimation, it could increase one's lifespan by at least 30 years. How high was this value? Chen Hao had expected this, but when he saw Lin Kongye's expression, he realized that he had still underestimated the value of this mutated panther fruit. Ah! What materials do you need? Our Lin clan has collected all kinds of materials for thousands of years. This. I'll only know what I need after I see it. Patriarch Leng, can you let me see your collection? Chen Hao said a little awkwardly. There was nothing he could do about it. The names of the materials mentioned by the mysterious existence were completely different in the boundless continent. The materials obtained from the 9th frost pond could prove it. Thus, even if you were to say it out loud, the old man would probably be flabbergasted. Sure. I'll bring you to our Lin clan's treasury. If you fancy it, feel free to choose. Lin Kongye said without the slightest hesitation. In his opinion, there was nothing in the Leng family's treasury that could compare to the value of the mutated panther fruit. Even if Chen Hao took away half of the items in his treasury, he would still make a profit if he could exchange it for 5 immortal fruits. Alright, thanks a lot. It's my duty, it's my duty. I hope there's something you need. Take whatever you want. Under Lin Kongye's lead, the 2 of them quickly passed through the layers of restrictions and arrived at the deepest part of the palace. Lin Kongye took out an antique token that exuded an ancient and mysterious aura. After dripping a strand of his blood essence into it, he urged his true essence and condensed it into a series of mysterious runes. Suddenly, the huge array runes below him began to shine with a bright light. After the space distorted for a while, Chen Hao appeared in a huge cave with him. This is our Lin clan's treasury that has been passed down for thousands of years. There are a total of 3 levels. This is the first level, and they are all relatively inferior mineral veins, crystals, and spiritual items of heaven and earth. You can take a look at them one by one. If you need anything, feel free to take it. If you're done, crush this communication talisman, and I'll come and pick you up. This. Aren't you going to look after the Lin clan's residence? Chen Hao asked in surprise. Ha, these 3 levels of the treasury have a radius of 1,000 miles. If you want to check them one by one, you'll need at least 2 days. You can take your time to choose. The old man trusts you. Besides, although there are many things here, they are all recorded. Ha! After Lin Kongye finished speaking, he disappeared in front of Chen Hao. Amazing! The Lin clan's foundation is definitely comparable to a rank 9 sect in the eastern continent. Even their treasury has a radius of a few thousand miles. Chen Hao sighed in relief and thought to himself. The third level, the 306th cabinet. At this moment, the voice of the mysterious existence appeared in Chen Hao's mind. You found it already? Chen Hao said in surprise. Unfortunately, there's only one that we need. However, you can choose more of the spiritual herbs here. After we merge them, you can start cultivating alchemy. There's no need for mineral veins. Yes. I'm not in a hurry to go up. I'll go through them one by one first. Although that old man isn't here, he can definitely sense my every move. Although I feel that this old man is not bad, it's better to keep a low profile. Yes. Chen Hao, there are still 360 mutated immortal fruits. Based on this old man's performance, each of them is probably worth a lot. I have an idea that might be able to gather the materials we need as soon as possible. Oh. What idea? Think about it. Right now, we only lack 3 materials, the mystic iron soul essence, the heavenly crystal, and the fire essence jade marrow, to complete the fusion of the incarnation realm. However, you're already at the essence soul realm. When you reach the half-step creation realm, you can fuse them again. I've already collected everything that I could find in the 9th Hellfrost pool. There are still 8 more materials that I need. The names of these materials don't correspond to the boundless continent. Or rather, I don't even know if the boundless continent has a name. If you want to rely on auctions to gather them, you really don't know how many auctions you have to attend. Furthermore, you might not even encounter them. Therefore, I suggest that you directly ask the Lin clan's patriarch to help you contact some experts with deep foundations who need mutated immortal fruits. As long as we are allowed to enter the treasury to choose, it will be much faster. That's a good idea. I'll discuss it with him when we go out. However, this matter must be carried out secretly. Otherwise, it will be troublesome if everyone knows that I have so many mutated immortal fruits. An ordinary man is innocent, but treasuring a jade ring will arouse the envy of others. Our strength is still too weak. 9-leaf demonic lotus seed. 1000-year blood ginseng crow. Fragrant ice soul fruit. Chen Hao slowly looked through the items on the first floor. Under the guidance of the mysterious existence, he put away whatever he needed into his storage ring without hesitation. The deeper he went, the more Chen Hao sighed at the Lin clan's foundation. Although the value of these items was nothing to him, collecting so many precious mineral veins and spiritual items was not something that could be done with money alone. Moreover, these items were obviously not for sale. They could only be obtained through bartering. Fortunately, Chen Hao's mutated immortal fruits were something that the peerless experts who were nearing the end of their lifespans would want to obtain at all costs. Of course, Chen Hao's greatest wealth was the rotten stones he had obtained from the 9th Hellfrost pool. This is the heavenly crystal. Finally, he arrived at the cabinet designated by the mysterious existence on the 3rd floor. Chen Hao saw the so-called heavenly crystal. The label on the cabinet was, mysterious object. Obviously, the Lin clan was still unable to determine the use of this item. The heavenly crystal was one of the materials used to refine spatial items. There was no need for spatial laws to allow the refined item to possess spatial profundity. It could be big or small, stretch or shrink at will. Although the celestial stone in front of him was of the lowest quality, it was enough for Chen Hao's current fusion. Yes. It seems that there shouldn't be many people in the boundless continent who know how to use the heavenly crystal. They don't even have a name for it. This heavenly crystal is of the lowest quality. It should have been obtained in the chaotic space. Its value is more precious than our mutated immortal fruits. It's just that they don't know about it. It's about time. Let's go out and discuss with Patriarch Lang. It would be great if we can find the mystic iron soul essence and fire jade quintessence in Heavenly Mist City. Chen Hao said. That's it. How is it? When Chen Hao crushed the communication talisman, Lin Kongye quickly appeared in front of Chen Hao and asked impatiently. His expression was as if he was afraid that Chen Hao wouldn't be able to pick anything. I picked some things that I need. There are 234 spirit herbs and an ore that I don't know what it is. I prefer such unknown things. Ha! Everything in this storage ring is the same. Patriarch Lang, take a look. No need. It's good that you like them. Why don't you pick more? The value of these things. Lin Kongye said, a little embarrassed. Chen Hao had said that he would use items to exchange for them. However, if he picked too little, he would feel bad. It's good that they are worth it. Patriarch Lang, after seeing your treasury, I have an idea that I would like to ask for your help. These 5 mutated immortal fruits are all given to you as a reward. Ah! Lin Kongye's eyes widened in surprise. He suspected that he had heard wrongly. How much would 5 mutated immortal fruits that could increase one's lifespan by more than 30 years be worth? To tell you the truth, Patriarch Lang, I still have a few of these immortal fruits. I'm very interested in spirit herbs and all sorts of strange things. Therefore, I would like Patriarch Len to help me contact a few experts who need mutated immortal fruits and have a treasury as deep as Patriarch Len's. As long as there is something I need, I can exchange it with a mutated immortal fruit. It's that simple. You're really giving me 5? Ha, it's that simple. However, I need Patriarch Len to help me. I can go with you. My cultivation is too low. Although I'm not afraid of anyone robbing me, I don't want any trouble. Ha! That's not a problem. Don't worry, old man is the orthodox demon sect. You have good karma with Huan Huan and Lele, so old man won't have any thoughts of killing you and robbing you. Ha! To tell you the truth, our Lin clan is already on the verge of collapse. The reason why old man wants to befriend you is so that Huan Huan and Lele can benefit from your luck. Hearing Chen Hao's words, Lin Kongye was stunned for a moment before he immediately spoke frankly. He was naturally able to discern the meaning behind Chen Hao's words, and it was more or less targeted at him. Otherwise, he wouldn't have said that he wasn't afraid of anyone robbing him. Instead, he would have directly said that he was afraid of getting himself into trouble. Patriarch Leng, you're too serious. I only said that because I trust Patriarch Leng. Ha! If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 376. There were hundreds of families and forces in Heavenly Mist City. Although there weren't many people who were as powerful as Lin Kongye, there were many families with deep backgrounds and rich treasures. In less than 4 hours, Lin Kongye contacted an old friend who had one foot in the grave. After learning that there was a heaven and earth spiritual object that could increase one's lifespan by 30 years and checking it on the spot, the old man became excited. He was much more nervous than Lin Kongye. All these years, he had searched everywhere for heaven and earth spiritual objects that could increase one's lifespan. He had bought everything he could buy. Many of the more common ones had no effect after eating them, and the rare ones could only be found by chance. How could he not be excited when a heaven and earth spiritual object that could increase one's lifespan by 30 years suddenly appeared? Therefore, when he learned that Lin Kongye only needed to go to the treasury to choose if there was anything he needed, he decided on the spot and told him repeatedly that if the value of the items he chose wasn't enough, he could use primal crystal stones to make up for it. Therefore, Lin Kongye brought a handsome young man that no one had seen before and started to get busy. Lin Kongye looked for one after another, and Qin Hao gave away the mutated immortal fruits one after another. However, he was no longer as forthright as he was with Lin Kongye. He plundered all the high-grade spiritual herbs in the treasury and filled one high-grade storage ring after another. Even if there were no key items that Chen Hao wanted, Chen Hao would take back items that were about the same value or a little more according to Lin Kongye's valuation. Otherwise, the other party would use primal crystal stones to make up for it. Only then would he give away a mutated immortal fruit. In half a month, the two of them went to 15 families. Even Lin Kongye, this old man, was drooling. How many mutated immortal fruits were there? Up until now, including the 5 that he already had, Chen Hao had already exchanged 15, which was a total of 20. However, looking at Chen Hao's appearance, he probably had a lot more. Lin Kongye was sure that Chen Hao's current wealth alone was more than the total wealth of the entire Ling family. Brother, is there anywhere else to go? I still have 2 here. When the two of them came out again and returned to the Ling family, Chen Hao asked with a smile on his face. This guy now had 10 high-grade storage rings on his 10 fingers, and they were the best of the best. But he had more storage rings in his pocket. After a few days of contact, the way Chen Hao addressed Lin Kongye had also changed under the old man's request. Cough cough. I say, brother, how many do you have? How many times have you said, 2 pills, 2 pills? This time, there are really only 2 left, that won't do. There are only a few people I can trust. Even if there were others, they wouldn't be able to afford the price. Selling to them would be a loss. How about? Then I'll give them to you. Chen Hao was in a very good mood. He took out the 2 immortal fruits and threw them to the old man. How embarrassing is that? But, it's hard to refuse such kindness. Who asked you to have good karma with my precious granddaughter? I'll accept it. If you need anything in the future, don't hesitate to tell me. Lin Kongye impatiently put away the 2 immortal fruits. He was extremely excited in his heart. Of the 7 immortal fruits, 1 would last for 30 years. If he swallowed all of them, the effect would naturally not be good. But he wouldn't foolishly waste them. He only needed to swallow 1. As for the other 6, he would take them to the central continent and find some powerful people through a large chamber of commerce to exchange for other things that could increase his lifespan. This was 210 years of lifespan. This directly solved his worries, and he felt that the future was bright. That's right, brother. I don't know if I should say something. Lin Kongye said after the two of them sat down in the palace and got themselves some top-grade wine. Just say it. However, the heavenly fruit is really gone. Chen Hao raised his wine cup and drained it in 1 gulp. Cough cough, 7 is enough. I'm talking about another thing. I heard that, you escaped with your Dao companion. Where did your Dao companion go? Oh, you're talking about this. She was taken away by the people of Limitless Immortal Palace. Chen Hao said. That's good, that's good. I thought there was an accident, so I was too embarrassed to ask you. Ha! However, this is very strange. Brother, your talent, opportunity, and luck are much better than your Dao companion. Why didn't she take you away? You can't say that. My Dao companions aren't as simple as they seem on the surface. Moreover, they're both women, and if they follow me to gain experience and tempering, it'll be unavoidable to cause a great deal of trouble. I say, brother, both of our precious granddaughters are great beauties that are rarely seen. Cough cough, wait, you can't say that. Our relationship is ours. My granddaughter is my granddaughter. She can't be with you. When Lin Yekong heard Chen Hao's words, he was speechless. He directly interrupted Chen Hao and said, however, it's true that they are beauties. Regardless of appearance or talent, my granddaughter isn't necessarily worse than your Dao companion. Ah. This time, it was Chen Hao's turn to be speechless. Lin Kongye, this old man's proud expression, no matter how one looked at it, it was a little suspicious of old Wang selling melons. However, what the old man said was also true. The pair of sisters seemed to be pretty good. Yes, these 2 girls are indeed not bad. Brother, what I mean is, originally I was too embarrassed to tell you. However, with our relationship now, I have something to say. I'm afraid it's a little inappropriate for these two beauties to follow me to the central continent. Inappropriate? What's inappropriate? I feel that it's quite good. Think about it. Why were my Tao companions taken away by Limitless Immortal Palace? The reason is naturally because they... Wait, how many Tao companions do you have? You don't know. I thought you already knew all my information. This little brother has a total of 4 Tao companions. 3 of them were accepted as disciples by Limitless Immortal Palace's Immortal Senior during the Intersect competition. The other one, which is the one you know, was taken away by Limitless Immortal Palace after we came out to train. The reason why Limitless Immortal Palace is like this is naturally because their innate talent is extremely high. However, the most important reason is that each and every one of them are devastatingly beautiful, crowning the world. They are simply too much of a femme fatale. Think about it, for such a stunning woman to follow me out to train, it will definitely cause a lot of trouble. Brother, you were also young before, weren't you? Women, especially beautiful women, still need to be in a greenhouse. Yes, at least under protection, only then can they grow up safely. This is one of the reasons. Secondly, even if I'm not afraid of trouble, brother, you still have to think about me. I'm young and vigorous, my body is strong, and I've also reached the age where my heart is rippling with love. If I'm together with your 2 precious granddaughters all the time, what if I can't resist the temptation and make a mistake? How can I face you, brother? PFFF. Cough cough. Lin Kongye didn't drink a mouthful of wine and directly spat it out. He almost choked. Motherfucker, isn't this kid too direct? Little brother, I'm just speaking the truth. In my restless youth and turbulent passion, my Tao companion isn't by my side, and I have to face 2 beautiful women every day. How can I hold myself back? Old brother, you've also been young before, so you should understand. Cough cough. So, little brother's suggestion is that although I have a good karma contract with your 2 precious granddaughters, it's best that you don't let them go to the central continent with me. I've always been clean, pure, and have few desires, but in the face of temptation, I'm afraid that I really won't be able to control myself. Chen Hao drank another cup of wine in one gulp, and after filling Lin Kongye's cup, he continued. The color of Lin Kongye's old face kept changing. He was tongue-tied. Motherfucker, what could he say? He had seen people who were direct, but he had never seen people who were direct to this extent. Brother, what do you think? Seeing that the old man didn't speak, Chen Hao pressed on step by step, wanting to take the opportunity to get rid of this trouble. Although what he said was a bit exaggerated, it was the truth. He wasn't Lu Xiaohui. If he really had to be together with these 2 beautiful sisters full of temptation day and night, even if it wasn't as exaggerated as what he said, his mind would still be greatly affected. This was something he didn't want to see. Cough cough. Lin Kongye awkwardly coughed twice. His white eyebrows wrinkled deeply. After a full half a minute, he looked at Chen Hao and said, Brother, you mean, you like my 2 precious granddaughters? I like them. Of course I like them. Your 2 precious granddaughters, even if they're not devastatingly beautiful, they're at least extremely enchanting. Moreover, they're the legendary sisters. Cough cough, which man wouldn't like them? Then, how about you be my grandson-in-law? I'll definitely treat you like my own grandson. The premise is that you have to take over my position in the future, and the children you give birth to must all have the surname Leng. Is that okay? Lin Kongye seemed to be holding back his strength. His old face was red and purple, but looking at the tongue-tied and stupefied Chen Hao, he finished his words in one breath. Chen Hao directly spurted out a mouthful of wine from his nose, spraying all over Lin Kongye's face. However, this old man stared at Chen Hao with bright eyes, motionless. Moreover, he seemed to be a bit nervous and expectant. Brother, I'd better carry out the contract. I'm just joking with you. No matter what, I'm still of the grandfather's generation. How could I have any thoughts about your granddaughters? Besides, I'll just take care of them when I go to the central continent. You can rest assured. Qin Hao said gloomily. He originally wanted to let Lin Kongye back off, but he didn't expect that the old man would face the difficulties and want to turn Qin Hao into his son-in-law. What the hell was this? Not to mention that the old man had attached conditions. Even if there were no conditions, Qin Hao couldn't do that. Everyone has a love for beauty. But admiring it was enough. How could he want one every time he saw one? Dao companions, companions on the path of cultivation. That was a lifetime of mutual help, unswerving loyalty, life and death together, life and death together, life and death together. One more meant one more responsibility, one more responsibility. Having 3 wives and 4 concubines wasn't a problem. The problem was that Qin Hao had basically confirmed 4. How could he dare to mess around? Grandfather. Just as Qin Hao and Lin Kongye entered into an awkward state, 2 pleasant voices suddenly sounded. There was a trace of excitement and joy in the voices. Obviously, the 2 had completed their closed-door training this time and had gained a lot. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Qidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 377. Hearing his granddaughter's voice, Lin Kongye's face twitched. What the fuck is going on? This brat is so long-winded. No matter how you look at it, it's obvious that he has a desire for my 2 precious granddaughters, right? But when I shamelessly pushed it out, he immediately backed off and even told me not to worry. How can I not worry? My 2 precious granddaughters are the future of my Lin clan. No matter what, they have to marry into my family. If it wasn't for this straight-to-the-point and honest gentleman's balls conversation, it would be fine. At least, in his impression, Qin Hao is still a righteous person. But now, he has seen Qin Hao's manly nature. If this brat really can't control himself and ruined his 2 precious granddaughters, and he doesn't take responsibility. Even if he takes responsibility, if he doesn't marry into my family, it's useless. What should I do? Lin Kongye's thoughts flashed and his expression changed. After pausing for half a minute, he suddenly pulled Qin Hao's hand and sent out a ray of energy to open the door of the palace. The beautiful sisters were holding hands as they skipped into the room excitedly. Ah, Qin Hao, why are you here at Grandpa's place? When the sisters saw Qin Hao, they suddenly stopped. Especially when they saw that their grandpa was still holding Qin Hao's hand, they were even more surprised. Don't be rude. Huan, Lele, Brother Qin, and I hit it off the moment we met. We are preparing to become sworn brothers. Since you are here, after Grandpa and Brother Qin are done, you should formally greet your god-grandfather too. Cough cough, ah. Lin Kongye's words made Qin Hao cough awkwardly. In the end, he didn't show it too much. But Lengning Huan and Lengning Lu, the 2 little girls, suddenly widened their eyes and cried out in shock. Grandpa! No, he is younger than us, how can you? After a short moment of shock, Lengning Lu directly raised her little hand to express a serious protest. What's going on? Is Grandpa's brain flooded with water? How can he become sworn brothers with him? Especially when, the 2 sisters were still thinking of using that and that to ward off flies. Of course, the most important thing was that the 2 of them were willing to use Qin Hao as a shield. Naturally, they didn't hate Qin Hao. However, he had only been in seclusion for a few days. How could he be able to ride on the heads of her sisters and become their grandfather? We are friends despite our age difference. Lin Kongye stared at the beautiful sisters with a serious expression and said. Then, he turned to look at Qin Hao and said, Come, little brother, let's now become sworn brothers. Brother, is this really necessary? Yes. Of course there was. Come. Crash. Following Lin Kongye's voice, 3 incense sticks suddenly appeared on the table. Chen Hao felt his knees go soft, and under the old man's valiant strength, he knelt down without any resistance. At the same time, Leng Kongye also knelt down alongside Chen Hao. Today, I, Leng Ningkong of the Leng family, and brother Chen Hao are sworn brothers. We will share weal and woe together. If we can't do it on the same day, same month, same day, we hope to die on the same day. The granddaughter of I, Leng Ningkong, is the granddaughter of brother Chen Hao. Pfft! Chen Hao almost vomited 3 liters of blood. Dying on the same day, same month, same day was still acceptable. After all, this was the ceremony of becoming sworn brothers. It was nothing more than emphasizing that they would share weal and woe together. But this old man was too ruthless, wasn't he? Swearing to become sworn brothers, he directly brought his own granddaughter. Wasn't this like a louse on a monk's head? Obviously, he was afraid that Chen Hao would not be able to help himself. Leng Ning Huan and Leng Ning Lu looked at each other. They didn't know what to feel in their hearts. They felt that it was too absurd and too childish. However, their grandfather's expression and actions were clearly very serious. Moreover, the ceremony of 3 incense sticks was also very serious. There wasn't the slightest bit of carelessness. Brother, are you okay? Come, it's your turn. Just say it according to my instructions. This. All right. Chen Hao knew that at this point, there was no other way. He could only blame himself for his cheap mouth. He went for wool and came back shorn. He said, today, I, Chen Hao, and brother Leng Yekong, become sworn brothers of different surnames. We will share weal and woe together. Even if we can't be born on the same day, same month, same day, we hope to die on the same day. Brother Leng's granddaughter is the granddaughter of I, Chen Hao. I will protect them as if they were my own granddaughters. Good. When Leng Kongye heard Chen Hao's words, he immediately praised him in his heart. He didn't mind that Chen Hao omitted the words same day. After all, he was already an old man. How could he take it seriously? However, Chen Hao's words at the end clearly told him that he wouldn't mess around. Peng peng peng, the two of them simultaneously knelt 3 times and kowtowed 9 times to the incense sticks. Then, they each offered a strand of blood essence into the wine cup and drank it in one gulp. The ceremony could be considered completed. The moment the ceremony was completed, Chen Hao felt a wave of fluctuation in his mind. There seemed to be a special destiny that connected him and the old man together. Obviously, in this world, this kind of contract ceremony really had a certain effect. And not just a simple ceremony. Ha ha ha. Second brother, in my life, I have only sworn 3 brothers. You are the youngest. I didn't expect your destiny to be so strong. Even I can clearly feel that kind of subtle fluctuation. I have benefited greatly from you. Ha ha ha. What Chen Hao didn't expect was that Leng Kongye was actually stunned for a moment. Then, he laughed loudly and looked at Chen Hao with incomparable excitement. Brother, you mean? I don't have this kind of feeling when I'm sworn brothers with other people. I also feel that there is a little connection between us. Chen Hao asked with a little surprise. This was also his first time officially becoming sworn brothers. No. Only when the difference in destiny is too great will this kind of feeling appear. I hope I didn't hold you back. In any case, I have already benefited from you. It's a fait accompli. I will definitely be your brother. Ha! Huan, Lei, why are you still in a daze? Hurry up and formally kneel to your god-grandfather. Grandpa. The 2 girls blushed. Whether it was Lei or Huan, they were obviously very embarrassed and unwilling. Chen Hao looked at the expressions of the 2 girls, and a smug smile appeared on his face as he said, Huan, Lei, my good granddaughters, after you formally greet your god-grandfather will give you 2 gifts. The beautiful sisters looked at Chen Hao's old-fashioned and smug look. They were so angry that their faces turned red, but they didn't dare to say anything. Hurry up, hurry up. Why are you two little girls so insensible? Ah. Hurry up, God-grandfather's gifts must be treasures. Leng Kongye hurriedly urged when he heard that Qin Hao was going to give gifts. These few days, he was so envious that his saliva was dripping. Qin Hao had used the mutated panther fruit to exchange for countless heaven and earth spiritual items that even he coveted. Since Qin Hao was going to give gifts, he would naturally choose two precious items. Otherwise, with his financial resources, how could he take them out? The beautiful sisters looked at their god-grandfather's angry expression and knew that they couldn't resist. They could only unwillingly kneel in front of Qin Hao and, respectfully, said, "Granddaughter Lengning Huan, Lengning Lu, pays respects to god-grandfather." Bang bang bang, their little heads were banging, but no matter how one looked at it, it didn't seem like sincerity, but protest. Good girls. Hurry up, hurry up. Being able to have two lovely granddaughters like you is also the blessing of 8 lifetimes. Ha. I don't have anything good for the time being, so I'll just give you some useful elixirs for now. TSK. You even want to lend us your primordial crystal stones. What can you, Walla? The two girls were still muttering in their hearts. They didn't have any hope that Qin Hao would give them anything. He was so poor that he didn't even have primordial crystal stones. What good spiritual herbs could he have? Would it be useful to them? But halfway through their muttering, they were directly stunned by Qin Hao's casual selection. A huge pile of precious spiritual herbs. Some were for tempering the body, some were for awakening the soul, and some were even for containing the mysteries of attributes. In just a moment, they were piled up like a mountain, filling the entire palace with an intoxicating fragrance. Moreover, every single one of them seemed to be what the two needed right now. Leng Kongye also widened his eyes in surprise. Although he knew that Qin Hao would definitely be generous, he didn't expect him to be so generous. These things were obviously what he coveted and wanted to give to his granddaughter. Qin Hao actually chose all of them in such a short time. However, when he saw Qin Hao holding his precious granddaughter's little hand and helping them up, the old man still felt conflicted in his heart. But he couldn't express anything. Wasn't it right for a grandfather to help his granddaughter up? What was there to be conflicted about? How could he be conflicted? Why are you still in a daze? Why haven't you thanked God-grandfather? Thank you, God-grandfather. The sisters hurriedly said. Their faces were filled with shock and joy. This time, they called him God-grandfather. It was much more comfortable, smooth, and willing. Chen, God-grandfather, why do you have so many good things? Leng Ninglu stared at Qin Hao and couldn't help but ask. Leng Ninghuan also looked at Qin Hao in surprise. Your god-grandfather is a rich man. Even if we take out all the savings of our Leng family, it still can't compare to your god-grandfather's wealth, haha. Leng Kongye said with a laugh. He admired his own wisdom and martial prowess. By doing so, not only did he implicate himself with Qin Hao's powerful luck, but he also allowed his two precious granddaughters to have no worries. Although he still felt that it was a pity that Qin Hao couldn't be his son-in-law, at this moment, he also knew that the small Leng family couldn't restrain such a powerful monster. You're too kind. Qin Hao said humbly. My dear granddaughter, god-grandfather, I can see that you're almost at the peak of your cultivation. If you use some of these spiritual herbs, you should be able to trigger divine punishment. Then, God-grandfather can bring you on your way. Qin Hao had become a grandfather. Naturally, he put on the airs of a grandfather and used the words God-grandfather all the time. No. Our state of mind is not complete yet, God-grandfather, you have to help us vent our anger first. Leng Ning Li's personality was more cheerful. Coupled with the spiritual herbs, this little girl seemed to be able to call him God-grandfather very naturally. Leng Ning Huan's face was red. She was still a little confused. However, when she heard Leng Ning Li's words, she looked at Qin Hao with a hint of anticipation. Chapter 378. Vent what anger? Chen Hao asked in surprise. With the Leng family's status in Heavenly Mist City, how could anyone bully them? Yes, this anger must be vented. Brother, help Huan Huan and Lei Lei vent this anger. I can't get involved in this matter, Leng Kongye said. However, you have to be careful of Shimen Wenjian. If brother steps forward, that brat may also step forward. Leng Kongye clearly knew what the sisters were talking about. What's the specific situation? Chen Hao asked doubtfully. It's like this. With the sisters' explanation, Chen Hao understood the reason. For example, Heavenly Mist City, which was located outside of the major regions, the cultivation and growth environment of the native disciples was like a greenhouse in a violent storm when compared to the Eastern Continent, Western Continent, and other regions that were protected by barriers. The opponents they went out to gain experience were the demon beasts from other regions. Because of the competition between the immortal, devil, and monster realms, they could face a fatal disaster at any time. At the same time, they also had to worry about the terrifying beast tide. It was precisely because of this dangerous environment that these cities had established free exchange and challenge zones. Did they need to fight? It came from the free exchange battle zone. With experts overseeing it, they could fight to their heart's content without any scruples. They didn't need to worry about the danger to their lives. This was the best place to become famous, the best place to increase one's fighting experience, the best place to make money from gambling. It was the place with the most vitality in every city. It was also the place where all cultivators gathered. However, in the past 2 to 3 years, with the rise of the sisters, such an excellent place for cultivation made the sisters feel extremely suffocated. As long as they went out, they only had one chance to fight. After that, they would be violently beaten up. The two women, who were soft on the outside but strong on the inside and unwilling to be humiliated, could choose to directly admit defeat. However, they would rather be seriously injured than admit defeat. This directly led to the two of them returning lying down every time. In the younger generation of the Leng family, there was no one who could help them regain their dignity. If the family's experts wanted to do so, they would directly admit defeat. As long as it wasn't a young disciple, they wouldn't lose face. This made the sisters very depressed, but there was nothing they could do. Good, this is a good place. Let's go, my good granddaughter. God grandfather will take you there. I want to see what kind of bastard dares to bully my good granddaughter. Ha! After listening to the three people's narration, Chen Hao said heroically. He did not care about the so-called peak mid-stage primordial spirit realm cultivators or peak late-stage primordial spirit realm cultivators. It wasn't that Chen Hao had absolute confidence in winning, but that he really needed to assess his own strength. Under the terrifying beast horde, he, who had almost lost his life, had improved greatly in all aspects. Being able to spar with a genius disciple was undoubtedly the best way to assess one's strength. God grandfather, you're the best. Shall we set off now? When Leng Ninglu saw that Chen Hao had agreed so readily, she was instantly overjoyed. She intimately grabbed onto Chen Hao's arm, and at the same time, gave Leng Ninghuan a meaningful glance. Immediately, Leng Ninghuan also grabbed Chen Hao's other arm. Leng Ninghuan was fine, but Leng Ningli's voluptuous breast seemed to be pressed against Chen Hao's arm. Such an intimate state made Leng Kongye's beard tremble, and he felt conflicted. That's right. Brother, I'll go accompany my good granddaughter. Go. As a grandfather, you have to be more careful. Yes, more careful. Just teach that girl a lesson and vent your anger, Leng Kongye said with a double meaning. It was as if he was telling Chen Hao to be more careful when teaching someone a lesson, and also advising Chen Hao to be more careful when dealing with his precious granddaughter. Huan, Lei, that. You have to be more careful. Your god grandfather is after all, a little too young. Don't cause misunderstandings. If that Chen Hao attacks, you have to be more careful. I don't want you to be carried back. The two girls were embarrassed by their grandfather, and they temporarily separated from Chen Hao. Chen Hao was also speechless. Wasn't this brother a little too sensitive? Look at how obedient these two girls were. Wasn't it normal to support their grandfather? Don't worry. Chen Hao's handsome face shone with confidence and pride. After saying that, he followed the sisters out of the palace. The three of them turned into a stream of light and quickly walked out of the Leng residence. Chen Hao, actually, we still have something that we need your help with. Just as they reached the street, the sisters once again held on to Chen Hao's arms. Their faces were a little shy, but they lowered the way they addressed him from grandfather to Chen Hao. What? What did you call me? Chen Hao suddenly stopped, frowned, and said with dissatisfaction. Come on. How old are you? If my grandfather is crazy, you'll be crazy too. You're not even as old as us, and you want to be a grandfather. That's right, we'll call you God-grandfather in front of grandfather. Now that grandfather isn't here, we'll treat each other as equals. Lengning Lu and Lengning Huan said one after another. Obviously, no one wanted to treat Chen Hao as a grandfather. Nonsense. I, your god-grandfather, am a sworn brother to your grandfather. Heaven and earth can be my witness. How can we talk about age? If you call me by my name in the future, be careful of your butt. Chen Hao said sternly. This. The two girls saw Chen Hao's expression and were stunned for a moment. Originally, they thought that Chen Hao wouldn't be serious about this. After all, they were all young people. Who would care about such things? But now, Chen Hao didn't look like he was joking with them. Although he didn't have a beard, he gave the two girls the feeling of a grandfather who was fuming with anger. If you're obedient in the future, I, your god-grandfather, will still love you. If you don't even know basic etiquette, don't blame me for not caring about you. Chen Hao continued. After a slight pause, he said, say it, what else do you need my help with? Lengning Huan bit her lips and Lengning Lu pouted. After a slight frown, she said unwillingly, God-grandfather, that Shiman Wenjian is like a fly, always trying to curry favor with us. My grandfather also told us that he might be doing it for our Leng clan. Although we won't bother with him, it's too annoying. So, we want God-grandfather, to not say that you're our grandfather in front of outsiders, okay? Oh. So you want God-grandfather to be your shield? God-grandfather, please promise your granddaughter. God-grandfather, you're handsome, extraordinarily handsome, talented, powerful, and have great skills. Moreover, you're the same age as Lei and sister. Although it might cause Shiman Wenjian to deal with you, do you think I'm afraid of him? Lei believes that God-grandfather can kill him with a single finger. Besides, after we're done, we'll follow God-grandfather to the central continent. Nothing will happen. That's right, God-grandfather, please help us. Lengning Huan hurriedly said under Lengning Li's gaze. A charming smile appeared on Chen Hao's face. He narrowed his eyes and nodded in satisfaction. Yes, you're right. Although God-grandfather has more than this, it's almost enough. Since it's like this, God-grandfather will help you all the way. Let's go. Thank you, God-grandfather. Then we'll call you by your name first. Don't call us good granddaughters in front of others, okay? Okay. Only this once. You can't act like this for real. Yes, you must always remember in your hearts that I'm your god-grandfather. You already have 4 god-grandmothers. Do you understand? Yes. The two girls looked at each other, despising Chen Hao in their hearts. Why didn't they realize that this guy was so shameless? He was indeed outstanding, but Lei was obviously flattering him. It was one thing for him to take it seriously, but he was actually afraid that the two of them would throw themselves at him. Did he think that they were love-struck fools? However, although the two sisters thought that way, they were still very displeased with Chen Hao's identity as their god-grandfather. They were especially displeased with the 4 god-grandmothers that Chen Hao mentioned. Although they did not know who they were definitely around the same age as Chen Hao. He wanted them to call him God Grandmothers. God Grandfather, this is the free exchange battle zone. Under the restrictions of the no-fly order, the three of them used an hour to travel nearly 10,000 miles before they arrived at the bustling city center of Heavenly Mist City. At that moment, Chen Hao saw a silver door that was 1,000 feet tall. Countless cultivators walked in and out. Most of them were young, but there were also middle-aged and old people. However, their realms were all below the primordial divinity realm. Along the way, Chen Hao gained a general understanding of the free exchange battle zone through the two girls. As long as one was not in the creation realm, any cultivator could participate, regardless of age. There were only two types of arenas. One was for those below the Golden Core realm, and the other was for those above the Golden Core realm. There were 100 arenas for each of the two types. Other than at night, the arenas were basically full during the day. The seats in the audience were all packed. Some were there to bet, while others were there to observe and comprehend. In short, this was the most lively place in the entire Heavenly Mist City. The Leng sisters are here. Look. It can't be. Who is that young man? The Leng sisters are actually so close to him. Could it be that they have confirmed their relationship as Tao companions? That's too fast. What a handsome young man. He's actually an expert in the primordial divinity realm. When the beautiful sisters of the Leng clan, one on the left and one on the right, intimately held on to Chen Hao as they walked into the incomparably enormous martial arts practice grounds, everywhere they passed, it instantly attracted the attention and discussions of everyone. Although the Leng sisters were mentally prepared, this was the first time they had such intimate contact with a man. Moreover, it was a public appearance. Their hearts trembled, and their faces turned slightly red. After this beast tide, the top 10 experts of the younger generation will be re-ranked. Could it be that the Leng sisters want to compete for the top 10 experts? It's very possible. The combat power that the two of them had displayed during the beast tide was more than enough. However, they are still quite far from Fairy Yu. I thought that they would only come after triggering the heavenly punishment. Why are they here now? Chapter 379. Along the way, Chen Hao and the other two appeared and attracted the attention of countless people. Especially the envious, jealous, and hateful gazes of the young disciples. To put it simply, if looks could kill, Chen Hao would have died 1,000,000 times over. Countless people were guessing Chen Hao's identity. It was just that no one had guessed it. The only thing they could guess was that Chen Hao was the young man the sisters had saved from the beast tide. However, no one would have thought that the angels of the devil Tao in everyone's hearts, the sisters who attracted the attention of thousands of young disciples in Heavenly Mist City, would actually get so close to this young man so quickly. Just by looking at their intimate and ambiguous behavior, one could tell that the relationship between the three of them was not simple. Although the young man's vitality and aura were that of a rare genius, and he was extremely handsome, it was still too fast. It was so fast that no one was prepared for it. In the face of such a scene where everyone was watching and discussing, most people would more or less behave strangely. If they did not hold their heads high and look very arrogant and proud, if they did not look calm and unfathomable, they would look very pretentious. However, Chen Hao, who was used to such scenes, looked as usual. Surrounded by the two girls, he looked to the side from time to time, as if he was curious about the layout of the martial arts practice field and the crowd. It was as if he did not feel the gazes and discussions of the crowd. First miss, second miss, you've come out of seclusion. Just as the three of them were walking along the passageway in the training ground, heading towards the high-class arena in the depths, a few figures quickly arrived before the three of them and spoke with a trace of surprise. As they spoke, they cupped their fists respectfully at Chen Hao. The symbols on their clothes were that of the Leng family's disciples. Naturally, they knew of Chen Hao's existence. However, at this moment, their eyes were filled with curiosity and surprise, and there was even a hint of hostility. They just did not dare to show it. The sisters were the pride of the Leng family's disciples. How could they not be hostile when they were suddenly captured by another man? Yes. Has that woman appeared these few days? Leng Ninghuan asked. She came 2 days ago. Young mistress has advanced to the late-stage essence soul realm after experiencing the beast horde, said a disciple. Late-stage essence soul realm? The sisters looked at Qin Hao in unison. Obviously, he did not expect that Mo Yuxian would be able to advance. After all, after stepping into the primordial spirit realm, even if one was in the same realm, the difficulty of improving was not small. Although the beautiful sisters knew that Qin Hao had the ability to challenge super geniuses, they had never seen it with their own eyes. He was a little nervous. However, Qin Hao's expression did not change at all, as if he did not care at all. Oh. Isn't this Miss Leng? At this moment, a discordant voice sounded. An extremely beautiful young girl, who was surrounded by a group of young men and women, had a condescending smile on her face. Her figure flashed and appeared in front of everyone. The sisters immediately snorted coldly, and transmitted, "She is Mo Yuxian. Every time, as long as we come over, she will be there on time." Not bad, you found a Taoist companion so quickly. Congratulations. You've reached the early stage essence soul realm at such a young age. It's not bad that the two of you can find such a Taoist companion. Why do you want to challenge me again? I'll play with you later. Hee hee. Mo Yuxian's expression was a little smug. Although her voice was pleasant to the ears, it was filled with condescension and blatant provocation. The beautiful sisters' expressions became extremely ugly. After Mo Yuxian finished speaking, she did not give the two girls a chance to attack. She shot a coquettish glance at Qin Hao and walked into the depths of the training ground. Her slender waist swayed like a proud peacock. She walked very slowly, obviously enjoying the anger and frustration of the two girls. However, she had only walked a short distance when she almost sprained her waist. She suddenly turned her head and glared fiercely at the young man who made her a little jealous. "Huan, Lele, is this the fairy you were talking about? You want me to play with such an ugly old woman? Why don't you step into the essence soul realm and then play with her yourself? I'm afraid I'll be suffocated by her foul smell." Alright, stop transmitting your voices. We cultivators should follow our hearts, right? So be it, if she wants to challenge you, I'll take action. If she doesn't want to challenge you, then forget it. I'm really not interested. Chen Hao's voice was neither loud nor soft, but it was clearly heard by everyone. Mo Yuxian, who had already pricked up her ears to listen to the sisters' gloominess, naturally heard it clearly. Pfft. Brother Hao, she's not as old and ugly as you say. After all, she's still called Fairy Yu. When everyone heard Chen Hao's words, they looked at each other. The sisters, who were gloomy, could not help but burst out laughing. Their hearts were completely at ease. Since Chen Hao dared to say such a thing, naturally, he did not take the other party seriously at all. Therefore, Leng Ningguo, who was more of an outsider, played along with Chen Hao. That's because you don't understand. When we look at problems, we have to look at them from a comparative perspective. Yes, she's indeed a fairy, but compared to our Huan Lele, she's no different from an old sow. If I were her, I would have hidden away long ago. Why would I show off in front of you and deliberately show off your beauty? Cough, there's really no comparison. Mo Yuxian is quite beautiful, but after what he said, look, Mo Yuxian's waist is also quite thin, right? But compared to the sisters, it's like a bucket waist. Yes, her face is also incomparable. She's indeed much older. It seems like her but is also a little saggy in comparison. Shoo. Lower your voice, do you want to die? Yes. Can't help it. Who's that kid? He seems very powerful, but he's only at the essence soul realm. Isn't he obviously provoking Mo Yuxian? Who knows? Let's go and see. When Mo Yuxian appeared, Chen Hao and the other two who were already eye-catching became the focus of everyone's attention. How could they not hear Chen Hao's words? Moreover, in the entire Heavenly Mist City, there was no one who did not know about the conflict between the sisters and Mo Yuxian. Mo Yuxian stared coldly at Chen Hao. She was so angry that her lips were trembling. In the Heavenly Mist City, no one had ever dared to humiliate her in front of her. Who is this kid? How dare he be so arrogant? Especially under the countless judgmental gazes, she felt her face burning. She was indeed a beauty, a rare beauty. However, even if she did not want to admit it, she had to admit that the sisters, Leng Ninghuan and Leng Ninglu, were definitely more beautiful than her. Moreover, in terms of talent and potential, they were not inferior to her at all. It was also because of this that she was hostile to the sisters. Moreover, Shimen Wenjian suddenly wanted to take the sisters as his disciples, which made her feel a great sense of danger. Originally, when she saw the sisters being so intimate with Chen Hao, she was happy in her heart. Moreover, when she saw Chen Hao's appearance and aura, she felt a little jealous. Even if beauty was in the eyes of the beholder, Chen Hao, who was obviously younger, was more manly than Shimen Wenjian. Moreover, he was already in the early stage of the primordial soul realm. It seemed that he was not inferior to Shimen Wenjian in any aspect. The only difference was that he was just a matter of time. However, jealousy was jealousy. As long as Shimen Wenjian could not get the sisters, she would be satisfied. She did not believe that Chen Hao's family background could be compared to the Shimen clan. Alright, then let's do it on this arena. I will challenge the next one. Leng Ninglu said. The sisters' small faces were filled with dazzling smiles, and the enchanting charm of Devil Dao beauties was fully displayed. Perhaps it was because they had never vented their anger like this before, but their faces shone with a faint blush, making them even more beautiful. Even Chen Hao, as their grandfather, was stunned. One was still fine, but two identical flowers blooming at the same time was a little tempting. Humph. Hearing Leng Ningli's words, Mo Yuxian, who had stopped because of Chen Hao's words, coldly snorted and did not continue walking. She took a deep breath and forcefully suppressed her anger. She secretly swore in her heart that if she did not trample these two girls and Chen Hao half to death, her surname would not be Mo. Young master, Leng Ninglu and Leng Ninghuan have gone to the free exchange arena. However, Miss Mo followed closely behind them. Just a moment ago, when Chen Hao and the other two appeared in the free exchange arena, Shimen Wenjian, who was sitting cross-legged, received a message from the communication talisman. Humph, this girl really doesn't know what's good for her. Do you think you can stop the woman that I, Shimen Wenjian, want? If it wasn't for the Mo clan, I would have kicked you away long ago. Her talent is average, her qualifications are average, and her looks can't be compared to the two beautiful sisters. Damn it. Today is unavoidable. I have to teach her a lesson and show her the authority of a husband. Even after turning the world upside down, she still. Young master, Leng Ninglu and Leng Ninghuan are with a brat. They seem very intimate. Just now, they were provoking Miss Mo. Their words were very unpleasant. That brat is very arrogant. Immediately after, a message from the communication talisman caused Shimen Wenjian, who had already stepped out of the cultivation room to think of a way to not embarrass Mo Yuxian too much, to make the Leng sisters have a good impression of him, and to show off his valiant strength, to instantly turn extremely vicious. Who is that brat? I don't know, but he should be. He should be the young man they saved from the beast tide. His realm and aura are the same, and he's not from Heavenly Mist City. After receiving the reply, Shimen Wenjian instantly turned into a ray of light and dashed through the streets at a terrifying speed. He was at the peak of the late stage of the primordial soul realm and had already broken through to the half-step to the manifestation realm. Even if he could not fly in the city, his speed was extremely shocking. Senior brother Fengyun, come over quickly. There's a good show to watch. The Leng sisters are here. Senior brother Jiang, there's a good show to watch in the challenge area. come over quickly. For a time, countless cultivators fought to spread the news. Chapter 380. The beautiful sisters of the Leng clan and Mo Yuxian were the girls who had stirred up a storm in the heavenly mist city. In addition, Qin Hao, who seemed to be extremely arrogant, caused the entire martial arts practice field to explode. Especially the experts of the younger generation of the heavenly mist city. After the beast tide, everyone had made progress and were no longer satisfied with their rankings. They were originally paying attention to the situation in the challenge field. Once their opponents appeared, they would come over. The conflict between Qin Hao's group and Mo Yuxian had unknowingly ignited the flames of war among the younger generation of the heavenly mist city. When Shiman Wenjian quickly rushed to the challenge field, countless young experts of the heavenly mist city also used their fastest speed to rush to the challenge field. Miss Leng, I am not your opponent. I admit defeat. When an expert at the peak of the late stage of the embodiment realm obtained victory, Leng Ninghuan directly jumped into the challenge field. However, the winner tactfully chose to admit defeat and said while clasping his fists. After saying that, he directly received his primal crystal stone reward and jumped down from the challenge field. In the free exchange challenge field, anyone who entered the martial arts practice field had to pay an entrance fee of 1 high-grade primal crystal stone. Anyone who entered the challenge field had to pay a basic fee of 100 high-grade primal crystal stones. As long as you didn't lose, you could continue to stay on the challenge field. Moreover, winning the first match would give you 100 high-grade primal crystal stones. From the first to the 10th match, you would get 100 high-grade primal crystal stones. From the 11th to the 20th match, you would get 200 high-grade primal crystal stones. From the 21st to the 30th match, you would get 300 high-grade primal crystal stones. So on and so forth. The more consecutive victories, the more rewards you would get. Just now, this disciple had already won 3 matches in a row. He originally wanted to continue, but Leng Ningli's appearance stopped his victory. However, after deducting the entrance fee and appearance fee, he still earned 199 high-grade primal crystal stones. Of course, other than the rewards set by the challenge field, challengers could also raise the stakes. The challenge field only took 1% of the stakes. Humph. Hiss. Mo Yuxian coldly snorted and suddenly turned into a stream of light and rushed towards the challenge field. Leng Ninglu, if you have the guts, don't admit defeat. I will let you sisters and that arrogant brat, who doesn't know the immensity of heaven, fight. Before he even arrived, his provocative words drifted into the ears of the countless spectators who had gathered around. At this moment, other than a few disciples who were still fighting in the ring, all the spectators were crowding around Leng Ningli's ring. It was so crowded that not even a drop of water could trickle through. Humph, shameless. You've been targeting us sisters for 3 years. Now that you're already at the late-stage Essence Soul Realm, you still dare to challenge me, a half-step Essence Soul Realm cultivator. You've gone too far. Not only are you old and ugly, you're also narrow-minded, suppressing the young and inexperienced, despicable and shameless. To think that you're called Fairy You, I think you should be renamed to Hag. Today, my brother Hao will play with a hag like you, so I don't have to discuss myself anymore. Referee, I admit defeat. Whoosh. Leng Ninglu, who had always been a reserved person, had become sharp-tongued today because of Qin Hao's support. The moment Mo Yuxian stepped onto the stage, she immediately spoke out sharply. After she finished speaking, she jumped off the stage with a whoosh. At the same time, she took out 100 upper-grade primordial crystal stones and handed it to the referee who had reached the creation realm. In the past, the sisters could not hold back the anger in their hearts and would rather be injured than admit defeat. But now, firstly, Mo Yuxian's strength had increased again, so she did not have the ability to threaten her. Secondly, with Qin Hao's help, she would not be so stupid as to let this woman teach her a lesson. Moreover, the purpose of this visit was just to vent her anger. When they returned, they would be punished by the heavens. You. What did you say? Leng Ning Lu, you're courting death. Hearing Leng Ning Li's words, Mo Yuxian was instantly enraged. She did not expect Leng Ning Lu, who had always swallowed her insults, to be so arrogant today. She did not take her seriously at all, and what made her even angrier was that she actually called her a hag. Boom. As Mo Yuxian spoke, she was so angry that her aura rose wildly. Her pretty face was filled with boundless killing intent and anger, making her look extraordinary. She was dressed in a snow-white dress, and not only was she not ugly, but she was also very beautiful. She should be elegant and refined like a fairy. However, at this moment, perhaps because of Leng Ning Li's words, or perhaps because Mo Yuxian's expression and aura were too fierce, in the eyes of the crowd, there was indeed a hint of a hag. At this moment, everyone's eyes were focused on Qin Hao, who was being held by the Leng sisters. Leng Ning Li's words made everyone understand that the sisters, who had been oppressed by Mo Yuxian for a long time, had come today to ask this handsome young man to help them vent their anger. However, although this young man had shocked everyone, his aura was only at the early stage of the primordial soul realm. How could he defeat Mo Yuxian, who was at the late stage of the primordial soul realm? Moreover, Mo Yuxian's talent and combat strength were obvious to all. When she was at the middle stage of the primordial soul realm, she was the second most powerful expert among the younger generation in Heavenly Mist City, second only to Shimin Wenjian. How could he help the sisters vent their anger? Moreover, Qin Hao had wantonly humiliated Mo Yuxian just now. Everyone could imagine that if Qin Hao dared to enter the arena, Mo Yuxian would definitely beat Qin Hao into a pig's head without mercy. Hiss. At this moment, everyone felt a blur before their eyes, and a figure suddenly appeared in front of them. Ah! Shimin Wenjian is here. Whoosh! Faced with the enormous pressure and extremely powerful aura, the densely packed crowd automatically parted to form a path. Countless gazes shifted from Qin Hao and the sisters to Shimin Wenjian. Shimin Wenjian had already begun to rush over when the sisters and Qin Hao stepped into the entrance of the challenge area. Under the reports of the communication talismans, he increased his speed time and time again, rushing over like a hurricane. At this moment, his figure was as straight as a sword, and his sword-like eyebrows were slightly raised. His eyes, which were as bright as stars, locked onto the figures of Qin Hao and the sisters from afar. Especially when he saw the intimate posture of the three of them, and under the gazes of tens of thousands of people, it made him feel as if he had eaten a mouthful of stinky dog shit, and he was burning with rage. He was the person who wanted to take the sisters away, but at this moment, the relationship between the sisters and Qin Hao was already like a louse on a monk's head, and the entire Heavenly Mist City knew about it. How could he take them away? Even if he took them away, he was afraid that he would be pointed at and talked about. How high would the cuckoldry be? This sudden change made it impossible for him not to be angry. Looking at the beautiful sisters leaning on Qin Hao's side like little birds, then looking at the arrogant, despotic, and furious Mo Yuxian on the arena, Shimin Wenjian's heart was filled with rage. And all of this rage was directed at Qin Hao. Although Mo Yuxian couldn't be compared to the sisters, she was still Shimin Wenjian's Dao companion. If anyone dared to defecate or pee on Mo Yuxian, it would be the same as defecating or peeing on him, so how could he tolerate it? Hiss. Shimin Wenjian's sudden arrival made the sisters, who were a little expectant, start to worry, and they were just about to say something to Qin Hao, when their arms suddenly became empty, and Qin Hao suddenly turned into a flowing light and appeared on the arena. Crash! Countless spectators were in an uproar. Originally, most people didn't think that Qin Hao would go on the arena, and Qin Hao's sudden arrival made them think that even if Qin Hao had 10 guts, he wouldn't dare to go on the arena, but they didn't expect that at this moment, Qin Hao would go on the arena. Good, good. What, are you afraid? Are you still a man? No matter who you are, since you dared to insult me, Mo Yuxian, I will let you know the consequences of insulting me. It's okay to be a coward now, but if you have the guts, then be a coward for the rest of your life, and don't take a step out of Heavenly Mist City. No one can protect you. Trash, if you don't dare to go on the arena, then get lost. When Mo Yuxian saw that Qin Hao had come on the arena, her eyes shone with excitement, and she repeatedly said, "Good." But halfway through her words, her face became cold, and she looked at Qin Hao with disdain, and asked. The reason was that although Qin Hao had come on the arena, he didn't go on the arena, but stood at the edge of the arena. In the spectators' eyes, it seemed as if he had thought of retreating halfway through the arena. The crowd, which was in an uproar, suddenly started to hiss. I thought that he was an awesome person, but it turns out that he is just a coward. Tisk, I was wondering how powerful this guy would be if he was favored by the sisters. Turns out he's just a cowardly turtle. How boring. How can such a person be worthy of the beautiful sisters of the Leng family? Qin Hao was a little dumbfounded, and he was a little stunned. Since he had come out, he naturally wanted to fight, but since he had promised to avenge his beloved granddaughter, he naturally had to do it properly. Although there were no rules in this challenge, at most, he could only seriously injure him. It didn't have much meaning. Of course Qin Hao wanted to maximize the benefits, and he could raise the stakes here, right? Qin Hao was very clear about his realm, and in everyone's eyes, he could only lose. Because of this, Qin Hao stood at the edge of the arena, and negotiated with the other party first, and it wouldn't be too late to go on the arena after the negotiation. Otherwise, if he went on the arena directly, if the other party didn't agree to his conditions, he could only fight. But he didn't expect that this woman's words were so vicious, and she looked as if she wanted to kill him. She didn't care at all whether he went on the arena or not. Under everyone's gaze, Qin Hao was only stunned for a moment, and after a short silence, the corners of his mouth curled up slightly, revealing a smile full of evil charm and arrogance. He didn't retreat, nor did he move forward, but he spoke. What? You want to identify whether I am a man or not? Sorry, I have no interest in a hag like you, and I don't have any sexual interest. If I fight with you, I'm afraid that I will be stained with your smell. Qin Hao's voice was neither angry nor angry, and it was as calm as water. Coupled with his devilish smile and the words he said, countless onlookers were dumbfounded. This is too arrogant, too vicious. Isn't it too untrue? He is obviously retreating, but he still wants to be a hero with his mouth. What does this mean? If you have the guts, why don't you go on the arena? If you don't dare to fight, then just don't dare to fight. Why do you have to say that you are afraid of being stained with the smell of a hag? Although Mo Yuxian wasn't as beautiful as the two beautiful sisters, she was still a rare beauty, and in the whole heavenly mist city, she was only second to the two beautiful sisters. Even though she had already become Shiman Wenjian's cultivation companion, 98 out of 100 men present here had sexual interest, and the two men who didn't have any sexual interest, one was probably a homosexual, and the other was probably a virgin. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Qidian. Come to vote for it, and your support is my greatest motivation. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.